so let's see what happens if I just... bring this up top. No. No, that's correct. If I go... Somebody chatted. But I don't see where the chat is. Sorry, I'm doing dual stream for the first time here. So just give me a sec. What if I just click on this? But I don't see where the chat is. Hey, Everett. Sorry, I'm doing dual stream for the first time here. What's up, Everett? This is Path of Exile 2. I'm just, the problem is the dual stream forces me to have one of my streams vertical. But I don't see... So, I'm just getting this set up, but it's just going to be weird where this everything is like, well, you know what I can do? I can at least show more of the screen. Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's more like it. Path of Exile 2. That's the game. You see that? No, I'm playing PoE 2. Jay plays 41. I'm not playing GTA. It's a sick game. The new league starts next Friday. It's a economy reset. It's totally free to play. They're doing a free weekend, and so you can literally play from the 12th to the 15th for free. I just got deep into the end game here. Can I do this one? Wait. So this is actually a pretty bad map for my build. Actually, no, it should be fine. I'm just gonna do that. Path of Exile 2. Does it not say the name of the... Oh, I see what happened. because on YouTube it doesn't say what the game is because there's no game category. If I go here, wait, I should be able to change these titles here. Alright, wait, I just came up with a good title for this. Alright, there you go. So now, what we have is, it should say the title of the game in the title of the video. I've played this game since it came out about a year ago. And I played Path of Exile 1 for about a year before that. So this right now, my build is kind of cool because I basically bash my shield and then it does an AoE around me that does a lot of damage. And then when that thing kills somebody, that person explodes into a blood cloud. And then when that blood cloud kills someone, it triggers a poison cloud to blow up in the next enemy next to it. When the poison cloud kills someone, it triggers a blood cloud in the next enemy. And so the blood clouds can chain together if you get a lot of enemies close to each other. That's called the bleed poison combo. Got a strong box here. You see those poison blood combos going? Popping off? Yeah. Yeah, you're my one concurrent viewer. My YouTube channel has like, what is it? 1,000 subscribers or something like that. I have a video with 1 million views, but it's how to roll a cigarette. That's my claim to fame. Well, that's kind of you to say. Thank you. I use a different skill to kill bosses. Well, McGuzzum, you succeeded. Oh my god, I love when those poison blood clouds combo off each other. Alright, let's check what's over here.
Remember this masterpiece.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
Perhaps the greatest from the internet's Hall of Fame for hilariously terrible and terribly delivered lines. How can anyone forget this?
Too bad you will die.
And this.
Garbage day! Huh? No!
And this.
Oh my God!
Have you ever seen the Oh Man, Oh God, Oh Man, Oh God writer, National Book Award and two-time Pulitzer Prize winner Norman Mailer?
We all know that I stabbed my wife.
Talking about it.
And he starts going, oh man, oh God, oh man, oh God, oh man, oh God, he screams.
He actually says it better than Ryan O'Neal. He's not really trying, but definitely better.
No idea.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
You see, Mr. Wifey Stabby is advancing in his delivery.
And he starts going, oh man, oh God, oh man, oh God, oh man, oh God.
His intonation goes up and up towards a climax.
God!
While the love means never having to say you're sorry guy goes
Why
up
does
a
the
bit,
fucking-
then falls
oh my
back
God.
down to
This
where he
window
came
is
from.
killing me.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
His delivery is not going anywhere.
There
He's
we
just
go.
repeating the
And
same
now I
beats.
just-
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God! Oh man! Oh God!
This comparison got me thinking. Can just any line be saved by the right delivery?
What? No.
In Oliver Stone's Nixon, there's this line that, on paper, reads very risky. That Nixon is the darkness reaching out for the darkness. Quite flowery for a CIA agent describing the president in a modern political drama. But watch how Ed Harris delivers it.
That he's the darkness,
These windows are
reaching
killing
out
me.
for the darkness.
Here we go.
How he looks away from Fraser's brother to think up the right words. The little pause to finish the sentence in his mind.
Yeah, I've
his
seen,
facial contortions, as if aware he's saying something strange.
I've seen all the Star
That
Wars
he's the
movies.
darkness, reaching out for the darkness.
Suddenly, this
Oh, I need to
odd
pop out the chat
description is
window.
wholly believable. It's like he's surprising himself as he speaks.
I can do that,
Coming up
right?
with words he knows are unusual, but the best anybody could find for the subject.
That he's the darkness, reaching out for the darkness.
That's the beauty of line delivery. Through rhythm, fast and slow, strong and weak, through emotion
There
that's
we
either
go.
suitable or surprising, a great actor can elevate a quote, adding subtext, feeling, flow.
Put it back.
Until I see Anthony Hopkins saying, I did not hit her, it's not true, it's bullshit, I did not hit her, I did not, oh hi Mark, I won't be entirely sure if any conceivable line can be saved. Though he does nail it in my brain,
Okay.
but I have no
I've
doubt
got both
they can all be
chat
improved.
windows working
I once
now.
talked about how Al
That's what I was
Pacino
just
shines
fucking
through Mehmet
focusing
speak
on.
with his seemingly spontaneous delivery. Some
bring
words
this
get
back over here.
emphasis,
Where'd you get this from, a mole?
Now on,
some
when I
parts are
talk,
rushed through.
I'm going to pause this
into the
video.
bucket. Fuck you, John!
Unlike Ryan's Oh
And,
Man, Oh
the
God,
video
each
I am
word gets
watching-
a specific treatment. It no longer feels like the reading of a text, it's verbal action.
The video I'm watching is Can a Great Actor Save Any Line? Well, yeah, I've read, like, the first few, not books, the first few, like, chapters. I got bored and left shortly after Noah. The Bible is a huge book about girls' intentions and Jesus. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I don't believe in God. Without proselytizing. Explain to me this. How can you know that your religion is any more accurate than any other religion? Think about Buddhism, Islam, Judaism. Without proselytizing, without resorting to using claims from the Bible, which is circular. So actually based on evidence, how can you say that your religion is any more accurate than any other religion? That's what I would like to know. But you don't have to engage. We don't have to do the whole religion debate right now. Like, it's fine, you know? We don't have to do it. I'm just saying that's something I would think about. Oh, let's do this breach, and let's listen to this.
There's purpose behind each word.
Okay, give me the shit.
Take the great epic Patton. Our general, whose name I don't remember, slaps a shell-shocked soldier and is forced to apologize to his whole army. Being the proud son bitch that he is, he'd much rather step on a landmine, but orders are orders.
I assure you I had no intention of being either harsh or cruel in my treatment of the soldier in question.
George C. Scott speaks with enormous reluctance, clearly despising what he's doing, as the character would.
But I hope you can understand my motive and will accept this
A long pause before finally saying the word apology.
explanation
No, wait, is he even gonna say the word?
and this
Was that a Freudian slip?
apology.
Oh, he does. The screenwriters, I wonder if they amounted to anything, are smart enough to save the key word for the very end, and Scott goes through it as fast as he
Shit.
can.
I'm gonna
It's
be
been
live
pulled
at
off
some point
and
tomorrow.
hurried through.
I don't know when.
On the other court, hear how Zendaya says
Maybe
a
it'll
racket in the
be
dick in Challengers.
So that's what you think
Around
he
the
is
same
to me.
time. Late at night.
A racket
At
and
the
a
end of the
dick.
day.
I hate it. Too much emphasis on dick.
A racket and a dick.
This character would give equality to racket and dick, if not prefer racket. This delivery sounds like an edgy teenager who thinks that's how grown-ups talk. Maybe it's
we
her
live in different- we
experience
might live
playing
in
too
different
many
time zones.
teenagers. Maybe. But here's a worse delivery. When I was
Midnight,
planning my list for the best films of 24, I was
around
seriously
midnight,
considering giving Lily Rose Depp
New
the
York
Best
time.
Award tied with her Skarsgård co-star.
Take heed what you do.
But rewatching the movie, this specific scene on the beach made me disconsider her entirely.
Look at the sea. Does it never call to you? Urge you?
Oh my god.
Something is close at hand.
She's great everywhere
night.
else, but here she is.
Destiny!
Beautiful. And the whole scene's last shot could be cut out and never missed.
Destiny!
Her intonation is stressing everything.
Look at the sea. Does it never call to you? Urge you?
It feels like a case for that intensity modulation cliche. Lily, you're up here. I'm gonna need you down here. I don't deny the director can be blamed in this case, but I have the feeling that Anya Taylor-Joy could have pulled it off somehow.
Destiny!
In cases of elevated and stylized dialogue, there's a stronger need of reining in. Alexander McKendrick talks about how he found Clifford Odets,
Of his own extensive experience.
which I must dedicate a portion to the 3 Knights of the Realm, John Gielgud, Ralph Richardson, and Laurence Olivier.
Touch where it further off, I pluck it down.
John Gielgud's voice was described by Alec Guinness as a silver trumpet muffled in silk.
And after this, let Caesar seat him sure, for we will shake him, or worse days endure.
Thanks to him, this is one of the quotes I quote the most.
I'm gonna take a bath.
I'll alert the media.
No matter the line, he sounds like Dante's Virgil.
Perhaps you'd like me to come in there and wash your dick for you. Little shit.
I say that in part because he did play Dante's Virgil.
Through me, you reach the city of despair.
Nobody else could.
A lady called, so blessed and beautiful, I begged her to command me what to do.
Thanks be to Peter Greenaway, who loved his voice so much he had him speak every character's lines in Prospero's books.
Oh, we run ourselves aground.
As every movie should.
Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer.
Then there's Larry Olivier, who never met a role he couldn't play.
The laws and commands of the Prophet Muhammad, blessings and peace be upon him.
Marlon Brando did an extraordinary work in The Godfather, delivering lines like nobody has ever done, creating a fully unique
well, Jonathan,
character.
It's great to see you again for Path
but that
of Exile
Oscar should have gone to
last
Larry.
Of the Druids reveal, and to share this with my audience, how have you been?
Me personally, or
yeah, you. How you? You're talking to you.
yeah. So honestly, like it's been going very well. Like probably for me, one of the great things is that we're really showing people how we're able to get the company to be able to work on 2 games at the same time and kind of make sure we're hitting those releases and everything. So so long as we're actually able to get just make cool things, I'm really happy, and so it's really good to see that we're finally able to do that.
That's great. Well, let me ask you this. What's the most exciting aspect of this update that you're really excited to talk about and reveal today?
Well, for me, I would say it's honestly the Fate of the Vaal League. And I guess I'm really personally invested in this one because I took the kind of unusual step of writing the code for it myself, which I don't usually do these days. It's like something that's kind of pretty unusual. But I really enjoy those kinds of leagues that have like some kind of interesting simulation of something going on. So, the build your dungeon mechanic and like all that stuff. I had a blast making that. So I'm really hoping that players will enjoy playing around with that too. And there's just some really cool design ideas in there. And like some of the crafting stuff in there is like pretty crazy and out there. And, it's just a really fun one. I mean, obviously the Druid's like a big thing. And like but I've been working on that for a long time, whereas this league is something I've only been working on for a little while. So
the Druid is going to be so cool. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pause it. If you're watching this, I'm sure you watched the live stream content reveal earlier. Holy shit. Here, let me play while I'm doing this. The Druid looks so fun. I cannot wait to play with it. It looks like there's so many different ways to like mess with the Druid. I'm gonna just hit this tower here. Get the vision. Here, let's just listen to them talk about it.
Showed me the Druid many years ago at Gamescom. You brought it up during the roundtable there. So we first played it a few years ago. What happened to that build since? Can you take me through your process of getting to today, besides, adding the whole wyvern to or is it wyvern or wyvern?
Wyvern, I believe, is what we
Wyvern, my mistake.
I don't know what the official fantasy pronunciation is. But
you're probably right.
I always heard wyvern.
Yeah, so basically,
I always
back
heard
when
it as
we
wyvern.
did that presentation, we only really had the bear, and to be honest, it was really only like 3 or 4 skills for the bear kind of there. So, I mean, we had a class and it was fun what we had made, but it wasn't really like a full class with all the different things that you need. And honestly, at that point, I don't think we'd even really realized the amount of work it even takes to make a class. You know, it was that early. So, I mean, there was a lot of stuff to do. And then even worse, we had the thing where, you know, we added WASD. That suddenly compromised like a bunch of the extra work that we had done, you know, on this class, you know, getting all the animation stuff done. So that was just a huge amount of work. And not only that, but we had situations where, like, you know, there were huge amounts of arguments in the team about how a wolf should be. You know, like that was a huge point of contention. And, so that was, you know, like I was kind of like, I really don't want it to be a man in a wolf suit. I really wanted to make sure that it was, you know, like actually like you know, you'd run around on 4 legs and that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, there was problems with, okay, but then if you're going to...
Wow. Okay. So actually, I'm going to pause here and say something real quick. I'm going to pause my game as well so I can concentrate on this. Jonathan Rogers is a quadrupedal Chad advocate. He just specifically said that his sticking point that he would never give up on is that the wolf has to walk on all 4s. Listen to that.
It was a huge point of contention. So that was, you know, like I was kind of like, I really don't want it to be a man in a wolf suit. I really wanted to make sure that it was, you know, like actually like you know, you'd run around on 4 legs and that kind of stuff. But no,
he didn't want it to be a man in a wolf suit, okay? He wanted to run around on 4 legs. One more time. This is my formal call out to the #1 advocate of bipedal wolves, Jazzarus. Because I'm a 4-legged druid advocate. The reason I'm a 4-legged druid advocate is because, for me, there's a difference between a werewolf and a druid. To me, the fantasy of a werewolf is a person who turns into a man-wolf hybrid when he's under the light of a full moon. Whereas a druid is somebody that can transform into a regular wolf on command. So I felt like you know, in the fantasy, like the classic werewolf, in my opinion, is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Well, he wasn't really a werewolf per se, because he didn't turn into a wolf. He turned into like a demented man. But it's kind of the idea. And the druid is like a nature, casting spells, you know, turning into the animals of the nature and becoming one with nature. You could say that they're communing with nature in the same way that Aztiri communes with the beast. Now, I do like that Jazzarus was one of the first people that well, he went on Try's podcast and he said it, which is fucking funny, because Try is like a family man, you know, and Jazzarus is like Jazzarus is like, as Tiri fucked the beast. Anyway, but yeah, I do like the idea of a druid being less of a hybrid and more of like the animal they're transforming into, if that makes any sense. So, and here's the main point. Jonathan Rogers agrees with me because, in his own words,
that, but we had situations where, like, you know, there were huge amounts of arguments in the team about how a wolf should be. You know, like that was a huge point of contention. So that was, you know, like I was kind of like, I really don't want it to be a man man in a wolf suit. I really wanted to make sure that it was, you know, like actually like a, you know, you'd run around on 4 legs and that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, there was problems with, okay, but then if you're going to do that, then like, what can you do? Just like bite things? I mean, what are we doing here? You know, like there was that kind of stuff, you know, like there was just sort of fulfilling the fantasy of that. And like, so, you know, we had to find ways to compromise around that and like make the walking feel good. And then there was the wyvern, which, you know,
right. But then the ultimate thing that he comes back to is that they found ways to compromise on it. And I think that's what me and Jazzerus can do. Even though I'm literally a 1 viewer Andy, if I'm lucky. Well, cut it. That's the video. All right, let's keep going.
You know, once again, WASD problems where, you know, now that we've got that, it has to be that when you use a spell or a ranged attack, you expect to be able to move while you're doing it. If you're a wyvern and you're like walking around on your wings, you know, you can't just like slide around on the ground. So, you know, we had problems of like, how do we solve that problem? And it's crazy some of the stuff we went through. Like at one point we had the neck like turning around, and then you have this like flip animation when you went around a certain 90-degree corner and that kind of stuff. It was seriously crazy the amount of iteration we had to go through. So, you know, like just getting there was just a whole thing. And then of course, you know,
it sounds like a pain in the ass,
everything else you need to make a
honestly.
class, the ascendancies and the support
It really
gems and
does.
the uniques and like all that stuff, right? So it's a surprisingly large amount of work, but I think the druid really was one of the harder ones we've ever done.
Druid is looking great. It looks a lot of fun.
The druid seems incredibly complex and just like a lot to it because the different forms have to work together. Well, also, I guess at the same time, it's not as if each form is going to be a fully fledged like class, as in like having the equivalent number of skill gems associated with it and whatnot. But in some ways, they're more weapons. Like you can almost think of the forms as weapons. It's kind of how they work. And so it's kind of like this one class has 3 weapons. And also it's like 4, because you're also using a staff with this build. With a secondary weapon set. It's a very interesting class. Like, it almost seems mandatory to use weapon swap for most druid builds. But the crazy thing is also you can put the forms into other builds. And the reason you can do that is because the forms are essentially weapon sets. So how many skills are there going to be for each form? I think they're going to have fewer skills than... I think they're going to have... The total number of transform skills will be the same number of skills that a normal weapon would get. So you take the wyvern, the wolf, and the bear. You add up the number of skill gems that each of those forms has, and that's the same number that a normal weapon set would have. Which means each form is going to have probably about 1/3 of the number of skills that a normal weapon set would have. Oh shit. Good thing they're all blowing up.
Just try it.
You really got to clump these guys up to get good clear with this build. I gotta maybe try trample toes on this build. What even is that item? You definitely get so much more experience with a lightning build because, or ED Contagion, because the the chaining that you get has such a larger range than the AoE on these blood explosions. I need to try this poison blood chaining tech on my other warrior build. That did not feel too good, honestly. Yeah, 9. All right, now where do I go? Do I just start doing these? No. I would go for this. There's also good shield stuff up here. Yeah, actually 100% increased defenses from shield. I should do that instead of these. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is 4. I have 5. Can I get 2 out of anywhere in here? I think I could lose this. It's a decent amount of life, though. No, I don't want to lose the life. These? No, these are good. AoE is actually pretty good with how my build works now. We get a decent amount of AoE from here. Wait, I've got AoE right here. Yeah, you know what? I don't want to start going hard into defense. I'm going to keep going for damage here. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a little bit less damage. Oh, I wanted to get off that sound. can't figure it out. What am I supposed to do again? Figured it out. Okay. Oh, there's also going for jewel sockets. I forgot about that. That's yeah, good amount of jewel sockets. I see. I heard someone talking about this strat. You get a jewel for these wall surrounded things. I gotta go look at PoE Ninja and see what those are. Do I want to do that? Let's do it. Let's play this in the background while I do that, though.
You sort of addressed it in the presentation, but I did see Darth's recent video. I like Darth Microtransaction a lot. I watch a lot of his content, pop in his stream. He was highlighting that there could be a better boss reward grind. How are you revitalizing the PoE 2 boss grind for uniques or just interesting gear drops from the more challenging encounters? And is that from community feedback?
So we basically, like, there's still a lot more work we can do to, like, make the, I guess, the core drop pool that you get from fighting bosses and so on to, you know, like to be really good. There's definitely some concerns at the moment that, you know, that this specific content has all the best stuff, and then, like, there's not enough stuff just for, like, killing, you know, your random workaday boss. So that's, like, something that we are concerned about. And one of the things that we're doing here is we've actually buffing a lot of uniques, like that kind of thing, like to make sure that those are actually more exciting to find. We're, like, you know, doing things like with, like, lineage supports to, like, do some of that as well. So we're just kind of just trying to make sure that, like, the rewards that we do have are better. I think one of the things that we do get compared to all the time is, like, Path of Exile 1, which has, like, 10 years of content and is, like, a very hard like thing to sort of, you know, it's hard to get to the point where there's enough rewards like how that game has, right? But that ultimately is, like, the, you know, the game we should be compared to. So we sort of have to reach the point where there's enough content and enough interesting things going on with the drops that people sort of feel happy about that. And so yeah, we are trying to address that here. But I did think, honestly, there's an element of just we need to get enough content into the game that there's enough cool things to find. You can actually feel like, okay, I've you know, I'm going for this particular thing that's undervalued in the market right now, and that kind of stuff, in order to really get that feeling of
Here, I need to look up by the
like
helmet.
chase rewards to find.
We'll hear you on that. The next one's sort of an important one, so please be honest.
62%.
Who coined the term bear-pocalypse? Just out of curiosity.
That was me, I believe. I believe I was that one who wrote that one. The skill was called that in development, by the way.
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was the name.
So you just had that in the placeholder?
Like, yeah, sure. I mean, you know, like, people always pick funny placeholder names. In fact, like, a lot of that stuff, the downer miners will still find it in the game files when they look around. So, you know, that's always a fun one for those silly names.
Nice. So I was sort of looking at the Steam numbers, and I noticed it's really interesting. Path of Exile seems to have smaller peaks, but longer valleys on SteamDB. Path of Exile 2 has bigger peaks, but the valleys got a bit lower on the player count front. Do you think there's something missing on the retention end for each update of PoE 2 right now? that'll get ironed out as you head towards the launch?
I definitely think that that's something that will improve, and I think that really what it comes down to once again is just the fact that PoE1's got so much depth of content. The amount of stuff that you can do in a given season is just so incredibly huge. There is put it this way, I mean, there's content there that like players may not even play for multiple leagues at a time, and then when they come back to it, like it's been so long that they're like, refreshed and sort of playing again. Like there's that kind of stuff because there's just such a huge amount of content. I mean, I don't even know what the count of the number of leagues we released in that game is at this point. It's like more than 40. It's probably like maybe a project 50 by this point. So yeah, there's just like a huge amount of stuff going on there, and ultimately, it's just about making sure that we get in that end game to the point where people are enjoying it more. So we actually did have a huge plan for stuff, for new content for Endgame that we were planning on getting in 040, but it just sort of ended up being that the scope was a little bit too large. We couldn't quite do it. So some of that content instead is going to be coming in 050, and I think that can address some of those issues as well. Like one of the common things we hear is basically like there aren't enough goals in the end game. Like you just sort of feel like once you get into the end game, you just lose a little bit of direction. So that's sort of something that we want to make sure that we're improving. So we decided to do sort of like some system improvements, like making sure that the fun of the end game is improved in that way. But some of what the end game is lacking is just straight up content, and obviously that takes time to produce. It is. I can assure you that it is in progress. There is stuff coming, but there's just next league I think will be when we manage to get a lot more of that stuff coming out.
I definitely didn't mean it as a negative. Like the player numbers seem really, really solid. It was just sort of an interesting comparative figure that I thought I would ask you about.
But it is definitely something that I'm concerned about, right? Because like I would say that when players, I mean, look, so every time we have a release, we're like, okay, what are the players unhappy about, right? Like what are the things that we need to be addressing? So, the in-game stuff is one of the ones that we had big in our list that we wanted to improve. So that's why we started. I mean, even in 030, we decided to make a patch to address some of the problems even early because we saw it as a big enough of an issue.
I'm in the middle of the map,
that we wanted
right?
to even fix that mid-league. So that's why 031 happened as well.
Yeah, whenever we chat, I try not to ask you like the same questions over and over again, but I thought there would be a few points that I could revisit. I actually watched some of our old interviews to prepare for today. One of the things you highlighted was about PoE 1 players versus PoE 2 players and the differences there. Do you feel like PoE 1 player satisfaction has gone up in PoE 2? And how are PoE 2 players feeling about the game? You highlighted that PoE 1 players felt like 2 was hard and 2 players felt like 2 was easier. How's that going?
So I definitely think that PoE 1 players are liking PoE 2 more than what they did before. But I think the other thing that's really helped is that, PoE 1 is actually getting content again, the proper release schedule and everything like that. Yeah. So, if you're the kind of person who just doesn't like PoE 2 for whatever reason, and you like PoE 1 better, it's like now since that game's getting updates, you're kind of not feeling, unhappy and disappointed, right? So that actually changes the whole vibe of the community pretty significantly. So we actually realized at some point, it's like, one of the best things we can do for PoE 2 right now is actually make PoE 1 better, because it's kind of like serving the people who are unhappy about that. So that's definitely something that's really helped. And I mean, really, like it's not like we ever intended.
I want to say something about the lack of an end game on this league update, even though they said they would do it. They said it was the end game league, But here's what I want to say about it. It is very disappointing, but I'm okay with it, and here's the reason why. Well, I guess it depends on how the content is, but the league mechanic looks really good, and the druid looks fun as fuck, and very deep. It seems like there's a lot of ways that things weave together with that build, and interactions with other builds abound. Armor, energy shield, if it feels good, that's a huge win for the game. And what I also agree with is their mentality of releasing a league update consistently every 4 months. I really agree with that because it keeps them honest about keeping the content rolling, and you don't end up with a Settlers League situation ever again. If they weren't consistent, you would never know if it was going to be a year, right? Let's say they said it was going to be every 4 months, and then this time they said it was Endgame, so they're going to do Endgame. So they say, okay, we'll push it back 1 month, even though we said every 4 months. Let's say they did that, and they managed to get the Endgame update into it. Well, assuming the Endgame update is good and not rushed, here's the problem with that. It would honestly be pretty sick. But it opens the door for being lax on the time frame. And I think if you open the door for that, it leads to a whole bunch of problems. Plus, it probably makes them more money to be consistent. I think the consistency is big for, like, retaining players, getting new players, everything. And but the thing is, if it's 5 months this time, 6 months next time, 4 months the next time, 5 months the time after that, then what happens the next time it's 7 months? Then people are like, ooh, that's a bad feeling, right? Like, that's what you really need to avoid. So
that we wouldn't be getting content regularly for PO1. It's just that it sort of ended up being with the, like, you know, getting the company to a place where it could do.
So I'm okay with it because they're in early access. There's more that they have to get done during early access than when the game is fully launched, because, like, they're still doing the classes. They're still like finishing the balance, like this type of thing. But they're consistently putting out good content. 0.3 was a banger. 0.2 was a little bit of a dud, but it was good for one playthrough. The Druid alone looks incredibly awesome, and with interweaving layers upon it. I can't wait to try it so bad. I was thinking about League starting, ED Contagion to be safe, or Lightning Arrow. No, I think I'm going to League start Druid. But what I might do is just immediately start trying to get Herald, Druid, whatever lightning damage it has, go Druid, Lightning, Herald's, Energy Shield, go for that. Seems like a pretty good idea. So I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Just try it.
Yikes. I walked right into that one. I can't face tank his slams, unfortunately. There you go. Fuck him up. That's a matter of you just need to know the boss fight. Alright, I think I'm going to look at these jewels here. What you want is increased effect within radius. All right. So, We need a PoE trade window. What? No, wrong thing. What is it that I want here? Is it? It must be a browser, actually. Let me try this again. And I can just... That's fucked up. Doesn't look how I want it to look. Alright, let me try something else here. Window capture, that's what I want. Alright. Let's get this back on while I do this.
So, you know, now we're in a much better position to be able to do that. And so, you know, we had a PoE 1 release what feels like seconds ago. You know, it was like, I think it might be like only even a month, and maybe a month and a week or something. And so, yeah, being able to deliver this update and that update within such a short time period, you know, like it's definitely required quite a lot of, you know, difference, you know, just engineering of the company, right? Like getting it to the point where we've got all the people we need. So, you know, and it's kind of cool as well because, you know, as the company gets bigger, we get to do more, you know, like you might have noticed that the stuff we're doing with our trailers now is like way more advanced than what we've been doing. You know, that kind of stuff, like, you know, we're getting more people to be able to do that kind of stuff too. So it's been quite cool to see that kind of growth as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, but I think I did last time, so I don't want to be redundant. You talked a lot about performance this time. One of the top search terms is PoE2 Steam Deck. Have you worked on that specific device in addition to your current improvements? And then are you forward thinking about the Steam machine?
So, I mean, we haven't targeted that machine specifically, but all the performance improvements we're doing will work very much in favor of that machine as well. Like, it is a pretty marked difference, like the improvements to performance. And this is one of those things where you got to be really careful about promising things because, you know, you're always going to get someone who's got, for whatever reason, you know, their PC is like doing worse now than it was before, and then like they end up being slower or something like that. So you didn't fix it at all, but like I really can say that like the improvement is pretty damn marked. You know, we did a lot of work here. So I think it's going to especially be beneficial for console players as well.
I got to get rid of.
In that case, that we can be much more certain about our performance promises because you know hardware's all exactly identical. Yeah, like it is way better there, especially at end game when you had lots of performance problems. So yeah, it honestly might be getting towards double FPS in some cases. Like it really is like pretty.
I also need Defy.
Pretty big deal.
Double FPS. You heard it here first.
Yeah, well, as I said, I don't want to make promises like that. So we went with a conservative 25% in the live stream for that reason. But yeah, like I mean, I'm seeing numbers like that though.
I don't think I can squeeze that in with my defense.
Well, I hope it. In the future, I hope you're correct.
So the main skill I want here is 21%.
Speaking of just, you know, Path of Exile and how you really try and innovate. In the past, we had talked about lack of innovation in the market. That was a while ago. Do you feel like a lot of the larger companies are getting better about this or even more risk averse And are they creating a space for studios like your own to really shine?
So it's pretty interesting what's been going on in the industry in the last year, especially where it feels like all the biggest things are indie hits. Like, honestly, it really feels like something has changed a little bit here with that. I sort of wonder whether what we'll see eventually is some kind of cycle where the studios, the kind of like, there'll be another thing where like the indie hits kind of like end up growing again and becoming the new AAA, as it were, or you kind of have a cycle again of like teams growing in. But right now it feels like we're right in the point where you get some really polished indie experiences are kind of ending up being some of the largest things. So I mean, like the older companies, I mean, it's honestly, I barely pay attention to them anymore, quite frankly. You know, like that stuff is like not really where the action is at this point. Which normally I feel like people are overly mean.
I feel like this is really good for my build.
But yeah, it really is kind of a bit of a marked change this year for sure.
Yeah, like I'm playing Of Ash and Steel. It's a smaller studio game, and it's just like, oh wow, this is so refreshing. And Out of Action is this indie game. It's a first-person shooter that's trying something new, and that's been really, really refreshing for me. Another thing about the market, just generally speaking, you know, we talked about Chris last time, and he's sort of doing his YouTube thing now. He did a video about dark patterns. It wasn't something that I was really familiar with. It was really, really insightful. You've also talked with me about avoiding negative cycles in the past. How do you and the team avoid dark patterns being icky feelings for the player?
But I think it really just
feelings. Yeah, you know.
I think it really just comes down to we've always, and like this has been from the very beginning of our company, have always just been really against those kinds of things. Like maybe there's this kind of like there's a sort of hacker ethos that I think that both Chris and I kind of came from younger, like when we were younger in our lives, that kind of was very kind of like anti-establishment in this
2600 all the hits, yeah.
Yeah, this is really good, I think.
We just kind of had that sort of feeling about things, and so yeah, our kind of whole philosophy I think was kind of shaped from that a lot, and so that's whenever we're looking at you know, doing things, you know, we're very careful with our microtransactions.
I'm about to blast my
like,
build
we're
into
looking at the stuff
outer
to make sure that
space
we
right
don't
now.
like go across the line of like just that weird icky feeling, as you said. But I mean, it just comes down to I think just being a gamer and being in the community and understanding, like, you know, if you're part of it, it's like you immediately tell like, how would I react if I saw a game announce this, right? And that's what you need to be thinking as you're doing these things. And honestly, like with Settlers of Calgar, so this is a funny one. So that one is a league that had some real-time mechanics, and I was like super uneasy about that. I was like, I'm actually really worried that we're crossing a line here into like mobile game style territory. And I was really, really worried about it, and it kind of worked out. And I think the reason why is because we had enough trust built up that we weren't kind of doing it in an evil way, and we also kind of weren't doing things like where, you know, like we weren't doing the type of thing where we're like, okay, we want you to get up in the middle of the night and that kind of like crappy stuff that the games have done. So we kind of managed to have a bit of latitude to do that. But yeah, I was even really just worried about that, and that ended up being like a really popular league in the end. But yeah, like that's the kind of stuff that I really do want to be careful to try and avoid.
In his video, he brought up somebody carrying a laptop to keep a daily streak alive. Was it you?
It does
wasn't me. No, I do know that.
Amount of sense to go for that
I'm not going to throw them under the bus.
Let's socket this in.
What are some of the really bad examples of dark patterns that you really don't like and work to avoid?
I mean, okay, like so, random example, right? In our shop,
out of curiosity,
the points. They're like 1 point is 10 cents, right? We don't have any like weird like ratios and other stuff. We never do like point discounts or like larger packs of discounts and other stuff like that. Like, you know, like we try to play it extremely, you know, like it's like the reason why we have to have a point currency on the shop is because, you know, you need to do at least $5, otherwise the credit card fees just become ridiculous, right? But it's like outside of that, we're not interested in having a premium currency exactly. We just want you to be able to buy, you know, like stuff in our shop. So therefore, we don't have any interest in doing things like selling things for like, you know, like 99 points or like, you know, like doing weird ratios and all stuff. Like I don't want to do it, right? So we've always been like that, and we just kind of, you know, just a random example of one of those things, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, we can just test between them.
So maybe they're not.
I mean, you don't need to do that. right? I mean, it's the same as true with the like mystery
37?
box. I think we were one of the first in the industry to publish what the chance were. I think we were one of the earliest ones also to make it so that you can't get repeat items in the mystery boxes as well. Like, you know, so like we're making sure that when we do the stuff that we're, you know, we're
so I can
trying to
see
be as friendly as
how
possible
big it
for that
is.
kind of thing. And like at the end of the day,
Yeah, so
you know,
this
we
is
did
the one you want
experiments
to
with
do
the
it on
stuff we
because
found,
you
know
get
what, like all
3
of those things
notables.
didn't matter as much as you might think that they do. And I'm sure that, you know, you could probably make a few more bucks if you do some of that stuff, but I don't think it's actually necessary. I think that you can actually be fair and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just a really interesting topic for me because I think there are games that do it well and
tremendous for
sort of
our
strike
build.
that balance that needs to be struck when you're making a product. I think you're one of those companies, in my opinion. And
so let's see.
I was curious, do you feel like anybody out there is kind of getting a bad rap in the industry right now?
You mean like undeserved?
Yeah, like maybe it's like
74-29.
a little bit too harsh on.
38.
I don't think that I would immediately. I don't think there's any examples that jump to my mind. Like, I mean, look, I do.
How did my damage go down?
In general, I do sympathize with game companies when they do things, because you know, like I've been there in some cases.
It was at 74
you know, like,
before, right?
Yeah. And obviously, everyone's trying to do their best with regard to making things that players like. So you know, like I do sympathize a lot of the time, but at the end of the day,
That
like you
can't
know,
be
you've
right.
got to you do actually need to do what your customers want you to do, right? Like you can't, you know, you have to respect them. And so you know, if people are getting a bad rap, I mean, on some level, they do need to just be able to weather that and deal with that. And
small passive skills in radius also grant 3% increased armor. Notable passive skills in radius also grant 4% increased Warcry cooldown recovery rate. Passive skills in radius also grant 11 defenses from equipped shield. 25% increased effect of notable passives. Oh, this is notable passives. I want an increase of small passives, isn't it? Where's my build that I'm looking at here? No, 21% increased effect of notable passives. Alright, so wait. Is this granting me any damage at all? No. It's just a lot of defense. It's probably good. Don't I have another one of these on my other build? I can also just take these out and then put one here. It just results in less damage. The alternative is go for these juicy armor things. Mainly this one. And the AoE over here. I want to think about this. I'm guessing that I'm losing damage because there's a penalty to your skill speed from having more armor. So does my attacks per second go down? Attacks per second, 1.07. Attacks per second, 1.07. Damage per second, 74, 382. Average damage per use, 69.5. Okay, damage per use goes up. Precipitously. So why is damage going up? Is that because it's scaling my shield? Attack time 0.94. Cannot ignite. Okay. Offhand, estimated bleeding damage per second. 89 to 12.4. 90 to 12.4. $91 to 12.7. So it's the bleeding. Why does this reduce my bleeding damage output? That doesn't make any sense to me. But it is more damage. This went from 65 to 68. I can get another one and put it here. It's not as good, but it's still decent. Is that really what I want to spend my points on? I can also just go up here. Go for the AoE. Let's buy something else real quick. Actually, I might not even need to buy something. Let me see what I have in my inventory. Just check here first. I want grant 1 rage on melee hit. How many L's are in melee? 1, right? It's 1. No, actually, what I want is the Heart of the Well. That's the good one. All right, Heart of the Well. And what do we want on it? Oh, he's using a companion? And you get 24% increased damage while a companion is in your presence. Damn. What companion does he use? Nymph Wasp. Oh. If I move this... No, I just need to hide it. Well, let's just look up Heart of the Well and see what we get. Yeah, damage as extra. How do you get a companion? First, we're going to do something real simple. Maybe I'll hold off on the Heart of the Well. I don't feel like doing getting a companion right now. Let's get Defy. I think I'm going to want like 2 Defies. And we're going to put one of them on Shield Wall for sure. I'm losing the cute Poison Bleed combo on Shield Wall. I think is better to do more damage. Defy is very good. And then just heft, right? I've got a heft lying around, I think. And we're going to see how that feels. In the meantime, Shield Charge needs Defy. Okay. I think that's okay. I was thinking about swapping out Stampede with Leap Slam just for mobility. Because I just use Resonating Shield to get through packs now. So I am going to go ahead and do that. Well, greater. So for this, I think I'm feeling definitely rapid. So rapid. Ancestrally boosted. No, Fist of War is what I want. I think I go 3 on this because I'm only using it really to get around terrain. So I think that'll be really good. Then I've got rapid attacks. I think defy, so that way it never fails me if I'm trying to get out of a tight spot. And then momentum. It's a traversal skill after all. Maybe AoE, actually. Yeah. Alright, so let's... Did I complete Willow? Yeah. I can't wait to actually try this build now. I think I just juiced it up substantially. Alright, T15, alk it, and go. That's what I'm doing here.
You know, and change things and do better.
Yeah, you know, actually in my previous interview with Path 1, I believe he said something along the lines of, you can't get defensive with your community because you have to address those issues head on. What's your personal philosophy with that? Like when the community's mad, you seem to really weather those storms well. So like, what's your approach when, you know, you're kind of getting nailed from all corners?
I mean, what it comes down to really is you have to appreciate the fact that, you know, anyone who's unhappy, they're unhappy for a reason, right? Like, you have to try to find their perspective. And that can be really hard sometimes, like seeing what their perspective is. But, you know, like, it can be done, you can do it. And that is what led to, you know, a lot of the improvements we made in 030 with the sprinting and stuff like that. And it's like, I was kind of against the idea initially, but then we worked out a way to make it okay, you know, like we're like, okay, so, you know, someone's saying they want the game to be faster, like what is a way that we can do that in a way that they are happy and I'm happy, right? Like, can we find a way to kind of like get a common ground here? And that's really what it comes down to.
Well, that's good. Last year, I asked you about your favorite game. I think you said it was Balatro. I think that was your game. Was that 2024?
Probably, yeah, that sounds right.
Who do you think is going to win 2025 at the Game Awards, and what have been some of your favorites this year?
Well, I mean, the people who are going to win is obviously Expedition 33. I think that's not in doubt. Not actually my favorite game particularly, but not that I'm saying it's bad or anything. I'm just saying, like, you know, what wasn't that true? Let me just, I feel like I need to look at my Steam library here and
go ahead.
Refresh myself on what I've been playing. So, oh, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna look. The game I definitely enjoyed the most this year was The Drifter. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a 90s style adventure. It's a 90s style adventure game, and it was just so well done. I honestly loved it. So yeah, that's kind of that's the thing that I'm pushing at the moment in terms of like awesome games. And honestly, they probably deserve more sales because it's really excellent. So yeah, that's probably what I enjoyed.
Oh, that's great. And you're voting for Expedition 33. Got it.
I would not, but I'm not sure if they got nominated. But Silk Song was probably my next favorite afterwards, I would say.
Great game.
Fuck Silk Song. That piece of shit game made me so mad.
The new map system. So was that inspired from PoE 1, or what was the new map system?
So you're talking about the Fate of the Vile dungeon map thing?
Yeah.
So basically, that we did originally want to do something that was inspired by what we did in Incursion, but I wanted to do something a bit more interesting because I never was really quite fully happy with how that one worked. And I'd played a game, an indie game called Loop Hero. It must have been like 6 or 7 months ago. I don't know if you played it before, but it's effectively a game where you know the hero is automated, and what you're doing is designing and making a dungeon for them to walk around in order to level up the hero. I really liked the way that like the position of placing all of the elements in the dungeon really mattered in that game. So I kind of took a bit of inspiration from that. And I ended up just sort of at home, just in my spare time, kind of writing like a programmer UI type sort of simulation for this to sort of see like, okay, what can I make here to create something. And I actually ended up using that prototype. We took all the code from that and then actually used it for the actual game. So effectively, what we've got is the actual league is that same prototype, but with a proper UI on it rather than the UI that I just made. With like lines and a few small things. So that was a really fun one. And honestly, I don't know if the league could have come together quite the same in any other way because I ended up modifying the design of what I was doing a lot while I was making it. It's been a very long time since I've kind of like personally just like sat down and wrote code for a league before. So that was a really fun one and kind of returned to my roots a little bit because I used to do this stuff all the time a long time ago.
What do you guys code in?
C++. So yeah, like we've got our own engine. We're like most of the game industry that isn't using Unity is all on C++.
Okay, cool. And I made a comment about it. You have a painting behind you. Are you a painter? Do you paint?
I'm not. No, it's not me. It's that's a guy. Sam Foley, I believe is his name. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of his. It's a really nice one.
Yeah,
he's like a little
really nice.
It's
great. That looks photorealistic.
Cool. I had a few jokey questions in here too that I didn't get to. When writing your scripts, I also deal with this. How hard is it to find other words for terms like foe, enemy, or destroy/defeat? Yeah. It took a while. You know what? I'll tell you what the one thing that I find myself using AI for is a really good thesaurus. Right? Like, it's just like, they seem to, in the depths of the AI, there seem to be a million of these words, and so that's what I often use it for. It's definitely a problem, though. Yeah, that's when it give me 5 different...
That's how AI should be used, as a thesaurus. I wish that was the only thing that AI was used for, was just as a thesaurus. The world would be a much better place.
Different ways to say the word foe. What was the other one I had here? Oh, I was sort of curious. Do you ever use consultancy agencies? I know you have like the Aztecs, right? So like you reach out to an Aztec expert to ask them about getting the glyphs correct. I don't even know what you would ask about.
Not usually. What it really comes down to is making sure that our artists are just doing really good referencing and just making sure that they're paying a lot of attention to that stuff. So they do a lot of exploration and sort of do like a research into the culture. And then what they make is they make these these reference boards of like here's how to do this correctly and all stuff. They sort of assemble all those kinds of things together. In order to make like a sort of a Bible for how to here's how to represent this culture as we are representing it in in the game, and then once you've got that, you can kind of go from there and create like a bunch of assets. It's definitely a bit of a process.
Yeah, that's sort of cool. Like you travel to the locations and then actually experience it, or is it more just online research? What's the process like?
I mean, we haven't really done that. It is a lot of online research mostly. I mean, there have been cases where we've done like some different things than that, but most of the time, yeah, it's just a lot of online research and just making sure. Now, I mean, this isn't really my thing, obviously. Like, I'm not the lead artist, but I sort of that is what they do, and I sort of see them doing that stuff all the time.
When you think back to where you were at launch and where you are today, what's something that you're like really, really proud to have accomplished at this point with what is it, 0.4, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that like what we've managed to do really well now is we've managed to get like a really good feel for like combat and like through the campaign and that kind of stuff. I'm really happy with where that is. I really like the way that the item system and crafting is coming together. Like, sure, we could use a few more rewards and stuff, but the overall system I'm really enjoying. And just like, just the feeling of comboing things and all that stuff, I'm just really happy with that. So it's like, I don't think there's like too many weaknesses we still have left. And I kind of do have a plan for how to address them. So, like, I'm pretty sure things are coming together, and we're going to be now soon at a point where I'm like, okay, like, we're actually pretty damn locked in as far as like, making a good action RPG is concerned.
Yeah, I was really happy to see that you were adjusting the currency in Endgame, because that was one of my big criticisms for like 0.0 or whatever, because you just spend everything, and if you run out of the maps basically, or whatever they're called, you can't really proceed anymore. So thank you, I guess that was more than anything. Yeah. Was that from player feedback, or was it from your own experience, or maybe a little of both?
It's a mix of both. I mean, like, I sort of say this pretty frequently, but ultimately what it comes down to is, like, we hear the players what they say, we play ourselves, we try to understand, like, okay, am I experiencing the same problem that they're experiencing, and then be like, okay, now we can make some kind of change. But you do need both of those elements. Like, what I don't want to do is just knee-jerk react to something. Like, a player says this, I'm like, okay, I'm going to change it then, Like, it needs to be that I actually experience the problem for myself to fully understand it. That's kind of a key element of that.
And the dragon, it's you've referenced Game of Thrones, right? At least a little bit.
I mean, I believe that the Game of Thrones dragons were also wyverns technically, so they're just the cooler form of worm, the overall classification here. But yeah, I mean, look, that sort of classic like breathing dragon fire pose, I mean, yeah, it's pretty cool, right? You gotta use that.
George R.R. Martin calls them dragons. Now, what Jonathan Rogers is cheekily alluding to is the fact that, push your glasses up, well, actually, a wyvern has 2 legs and 2 wings, whereas a dragon has 4 legs and 2 wings. But let's face it, George R.R. Martin, his dragons have 2 legs and 2 wings, and he calls them dragons in Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. So who am I gonna believe? The actual Greek mythology of the shit? The history of the stories? Sociologically spreading through time? Or the contemporary, the awesome Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin? Now, the funny thing is, if you watch Game of Thrones season 1, the Targaryen banners and sigils, the dragons all have 4 legs and 2 wings. And George R.R. Martin doesn't like that. He thinks that it's more realistic for dragons to have 2 legs and 2 wings, because that's how things occur in nature. And it's kind of true. Like, anything with limbs, it's going to have 4 limbs if you think about it. Now, not counting insects. Mammals, lizards, higher animals. They all have like 4 limbs. And like, you can even see dolphins the way, that they evolved to basically their arms, or maybe it's the other way around. Our arms came out of fins, but like, it's a more physiologically, biologically accurate thing in terms of how it could really exist in the world for a dragon to have 2 legs and 2 wings. So regardless of whether or not you want to call it a wyvern, because that's what it was historically referred to historically, whereas dragons, medieval literature would have had 4 legs and 2 wings, and wyverns would have had 2 legs and 2 wings. Either way, wyverns are cooler because they're more realistic. That's the one thing that Jonathan Rogers, George R.R. Martin, and myself are all on the same page with. It's all about quadrupeds. Quadrupeds are the GOAT. It doesn't matter if it's a werewolf or if it is a wyvern. I don't know why it took me that long to think of the word wyvern. I've been talking about them this whole time. But that's how it is. And that's the way it is.
Those references.
Are you going to roll Druid for the new season, or do you think is there another class you're eyeing?
No, definitely Druid right now. I mean, that's what I've been playing for a while now. But actually, there's like a lot of different ways to play it, and it's a little bit. It's actually a bit unusual as far as the classes go, because we had to kind of think of it in like, okay, there are sort of 4 archetypes that you might want to play, even independent of being able to pick things across them, right? Like you have to be able to deal with someone who wants to play only spells, or someone who wants to play only wolf, someone who wants to play only bear, or only dragon, but also you want to make sure that there's reason to combine all of them as well. So it's kind of ended up, there's a lot more sort of cross-pollination between the different elements of the skill set here than what we've done before. And I actually think I kind of want to use some of those ideas and try to bring them back into the other classes as well a bit, because that exercise of sort of thinking about things in terms of those different individual archetypes kind of resulted in quite a lot more interesting design. So yeah, like that's been, but it does mean that playtesting has just been like, well, you know, once if you're doing a whole bear playthrough, it's like, okay, well now that's completely like got nothing to do with if you do a full wolf playthrough. So there's a lot sort of harder to kind of, you have to do more playtesting to make the same stuff work.
How is that going to go? Like when I roll Druid in my playthrough, are you going to just naturally have drops or like, hey, maybe you should try out the wolf build? But that's usually through like Act 1, right? By the end of Act 1, you'll probably be locked in.
So basically, I mean, look, you can just combine multiple forms together. I do imagine a lot of people will probably want to stick to one. Effectively, what we do is at the beginning, we say, okay, like we're going to give you
what's this?
Immediately a wolf and a bear skill, sort of start you off, and then the next tier down, that's when you start to get the wyvern stuff coming in. So I suspect a lot of players will probably just like pick one at the start, just go with it. You know, if the more adventurous players out there, you've also got the wyvern to sort of go with. But yeah, like all through, there's kind of like interesting opportunities to be able to move between them. And one of the things we're trying to do as well is that all of them generate some kind of resource or mechanic that the other ones can use in different ways. Like we'll put those hooks in there.
So I think I'm going to go
so
wyvern
one of the ones we
because
had in the video, for example, was that so rage is the thing that the bear can easily generate. You know, like if you're using, but the other two classes also have things that consume rage without a natural way to generate it, right? So it's like, you know, you don't have to do that, but it's just a thing that if you're looking to do some kind of like bear hybrid with wyvern, then you can do that, right? Like the more rage you have, the longer you can do the flame breath. So that's like a thing you could do if you want to sort of specialize in doing that. Yeah, like it's like we try to have those cross pollinations from all different directions.
What do you think you're going to roll for the Druid?
That's a tough one. I mean, the most recent playthrough I was doing wyvern, so I probably might want to go wolf for the next one after that. So probably on release I'll do that. I'm really quite enjoying wyvern though. It is it has been fun. So yeah, but I think that when I
oh, now that Jonathan Rogers is saying that he likes the wyvern, I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't go for the wyvern. But it's lightning. I'm sure it's going to be OP as well.
Last played wolf, we didn't quite have a couple of those.
I might try doing a little bit of swapping between the two. We'll see.
Changes to the way that the pounce and cross slash stuff works. So I think I might want to roll that one next.
Well, I suppose I'll ask one more because I think I got one more minute. The time mechanic on the ascendancy, how does
empowered bosses
that work
are feeling
on the back end?
Easy.
Maybe that's a weird question. It seems like you like know where the enemy AI is gonna go, and then
you're talking about the one where it like it does a skill from the future kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, really, what that is just like, you know. So are you talking about the one where you that you use against bosses, or the one where it does the thing for you?
You did it against the boss in the.
Okay, so that one, yeah. So that one, basically, what we do is like when you use it, it effectively does the heavy stun as if they got heavy stunned from their current position, and then both of those entities now exist, but you haven't heavy stunned one of them. So then what usually happens after that is because you keep attacking them, it immediately heavy stuns the boss as well, and that causes the boss to usually do basically the same thing that just happened to the one. Basically what we do is like when you use it, it effectively does the heavy stun as if they got heavy stunned from their current position, and then both of those entities now exist, but you haven't heavy stunned one of them. So then what usually happens after that is because you keep attacking them, it immediately heavy stuns the boss as well, and that causes the boss to usually do basically the same thing that just happened to the vision of it that got heavy stunned before. So it kind of just ends up being that you get the feeling of like you got a future got ripped out and then it immediately happened after. So it's kind of just a bit of a psychological trick there, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was a bit of a trip. I'm like, wait, how does that work?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I want to play with that.
What's a cosmetic that you and the team worked really hard on and thought was really cool, but no one bought or very few people bought?
I actually don't think I've got a good answer for this one. I probably didn't pay enough attention to it to really be able to say that. It actually is. I'm not usually the one doing most of that cosmetic stuff, so yeah, probably I'm not the right person to answer that question.
Well, I just thought it would be a fun one to ask. I don't know how much time we have left, but I kind of got through my questions a little faster than I thought. Was there anything that I didn't ask you about that you really were excited to discuss today?
No, I mean, look, the main things are we've got the Druid. That's obviously been a huge deal. Community's been really excited for it. We've got the Fate of the Vow. It's my favorite league to develop for a very long time, so I'm really enjoying that one. And obviously a bunch of other more minor things that really should be saved for the patch notes. But that's the sort of the core of it. And I'm really happy with what we delivered for this release.
And you can't give me any hints about final release date.
Well, I mean, it isn't this year. That's what I'm saying about that. But look, put it this way. I would be incredibly disappointed if we didn't have it out sometime next year. Let's just say that. That's definitely, like, if the release year ended in a 7, I would be quite unhappy. I'm doing my best to try and get it out next year. But like when it comes down to it, what we need to do is we need to get the end game in a good place. We need to get the balance in a good place. We need the performance in a good place. It's just basically, and then of course we need to finish the campaign, right? Like these are the things we need to do to get the game out. And so I don't want to commit to when the date is until we're like pretty damn certain that all of that stuff is good. And at that point we're ready to say, hey, everyone, the game's done. Play it. You're gonna have a great time. People, no one's left. Like there are no big groups of things that people can say are bad left.
Yeah, totally makes sense that you want to wait till everything's lined up, all your ducks are in a row, so to speak. Well, I'm super excited to try out the Druid. I can't wait for this expansion. I'm waiting to play this class since we met and did that first gameplay walkthrough many years ago. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure as always, and I also can't wait to see how the community reacts to all the new content.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Thank you very much. It's been great.
Now, in addition to this interview, we also had a bit of a round table, and it was really great to get a few questions in there, and jokes, let's be honest. That's just sort of my style. Anyway, here's what they had to say to those questions.
Starting from the ones that were already posted when we were playing the video. The first question is, can any class equip the animal talisman weapons or just the Druid? Yep, so just like all of our weapons, they're usable by any class. The talisman is what unlocks the ability to transform, so effectively any class can do it. And obviously we like to do this kind of thing because, for the players out there who like to experiment, with doing things like ascendancy classes that are not on the Druid while still using it with animal forms and that kind of thing. That can be a fun that can be a fun thing to allow. So we do try to allow this kind of stuff, and that's how it works. The next question is, are you able to alter the element of the Druid's beast forms?
What's up,
like taking a Shadow Flame Conduit passive to make the Wyvern's Flame Death ability deal chaos damage instead of fire? Yep, that one does work. And generally speaking, like all the various tools that we have throughout the game for modifying different abilities, all of those do work with the Druid as well. But each of the forms do have a sort of like somewhat known elemental alignment. So the bear generally has more stuff going on with fire. The wolf has a lot more stuff going on with cold.
My day's over.
And the wyvern has a lot more stuff going on with lightning and some fire as well.
After midnight in New York.
The next question is, did you ever watch streamers or high-level players and get ideas on how to mess with them and design new challenges around those ideas?
Did you have caps lock on, my friend?
Not necessarily. I mean, obviously we do pay attention a lot to the streamers to see what kind of builds they're doing. But I wouldn't necessarily say we're just necessarily trying to mess with them.
I already said.
The next question was the Flesh Surgeon a failed dermatologist? Can you tell me more about the lore of this character? Well, I mean, I guess, that's funny when we were coming with that one. I can't even remember what came first, but someone proposed the idea of, you know, we've got all these, the Valve have all these crafting mechanics for items. What if you could craft yourself? And honestly, like, as soon as we heard that, we were like, we have to do this. It's just super cool to like cutting off your own limbs and replacing them with prosthetic ones. So yeah, that was just a just the visual of it and everything was just so amazing. We're like, we just have to do this no matter how complicated it is. So that was a cool one. The next question is, I love the new map system in the temple. What inspired the system? So it is loosely related to the ideas we had in the Incursion League from PoE 1, but the game that actually inspired me the most was a random indie game called Loop Hero that I played a while back. And in this game, one of the things I really observed was that it wasn't so much about what tiles you got, it was more about how you place them with a relation to each other. And I thought that was really interesting, so I wanted to make a system that had a lot of that same idea of, like, you know, it's about being able to place them strategically with the right positioning in order to get the best bonuses. And that turned out really well. So, you know, I really enjoyed working on this one just because designing that system was really fun. And in fact, Incursion, back when we made it in PoE 1, was one of the leagues I really enjoyed making the most. And for this one, I took the somewhat unusual step of actually writing the gameplay code for the league myself as well. So yeah, this was a really fun one to work on, and you know, just designing all those things. And it's one of those really fun things to do when you design and build those kinds of league mechanics, you know, by yourself. The next one is what new buffs did you add to Lightning Arrow this season? So yeah, obviously, you know, there are a few supports, but of course, you know, the stuff that is the most powerful now, because I mean, everyone's playing Lightning Arrow at the moment. We did.
Alan Ramirez, do I stream any other games? Not really. And I'm probably going to be going hard into this game for the next couple weeks. Because the new league is coming out. I am American.
These are our supply, as expected. Of course.
Let me guess. You know a way for me to get some. I can do my own graphic design. You see the stuff floating in the background behind the game? Nope. You don't need to show me.
Use sheet.
I don't want to talk about business. I want to talk about video games. It's not a business talk channel. It's a game channel. So, The business happens behind the scenes.
Have to do a few nerfs for that, but overall we've buffed a lot more things than we've nerfed. There's as Mark said in the video, we've buffed like 90 skills. There's like a ton of stuff going on there, but of course there are a few nerfs as well. Next question.
Anyway, you're not being sly. I know you're trying to sell me something. It's the same script every time with you people. Don't play the game. Know nothing about Path of Exile. And then you say that I could use some attractive graphic design, logos and banners, etc. And that you can show me some of your work. No, I don't need that. The first time I thought somebody was like... The first time I thought somebody was like actually just talking to me, but after 10, 20, 100 of these robocalls, it feels like I don't need to deal with it.
Is the number of enemies in the endgame is one of my biggest issues as well. What ultimately made you and the team scale the number back. So when we so there was a breakpoint where we saw that there were just way too many monsters in endgame, and the trouble that we had with it at the beginning was actually it's very hard to be able, at least we felt like it was going to be very hard to nerf that and like make the scale back the number of monsters in endgame without causing a lot of outrage among the player base. So we're really concerned about that. So what we actually ended up doing was we wanted to be able to change it through the whole game. What we decided to do was give it a test in 031. So we made a sort of mid-league patch where we adjusted it for the low-level places and maps, and then ramping up to the same value as before in the end-game. And we did that because we were like, okay, people aren't going to be worried tomorrow about, like, we've got that borderline where you went from campaign to end-game and it like felt like the bridge was... Sorry, the jump was way too high. So we thought we'd smooth that out, but we were kind of like, well, players are going to complain unless we, unless we ramp it back up to what it was before an endgame. But a sort of unexpected thing happened, which was that we actually got a bunch of players saying, oh, it was really good that you did that, and they actually wished that it was like that for the rest of the endgame as well. And that's when we're like, well, hang on, like, we absolutely would have done that if we thought we could get away with it. If the players are actually saying they also want that, that means we absolutely should be doing it. So obviously the thing that the players do care a lot about is the fact that the rewards are, not being nerfed, and that the experiences are not being nerfed and that kind of stuff. So we have to make sure that was the same. But overall, I think that it's a hugely beneficial change because, yeah, there was just this feeling of getting swarmed in the end game that wasn't really great. And the other thing that it was doing is it was causing a situation where the higher damage builds that, like, had less less AoE were effectively penalized very significantly. Now with the changes, it's a bit more viable to do more of those types of builds. So I'm really happy with that change, and I think that improves things quite a lot. The next question that we have here is the Druid has been on the precipice of being added for a while. What was the biggest hurdle with the class, and when did it click? So yeah, we actually originally showed the Druid back in Gamescom 2023, I believe it was. And back then, it was before we had added WASD to the game. And we only had one animal form at the time. We had other animal forms we wanted to do, but they hadn't actually been made yet. And so the very first thing we had to do to sort of get things going was we had to work out a way to make the class feel acceptable in a WASD context. And for the Wyvern in particular, that was really, really difficult because whenever you can cast, a ranged projectile at this point, such as, breathing fire and that kind of stuff, people want to be able to move while doing that. And, the dragon kind of moves around on its two big wings, grabbing the ground as it moves. So it's really quite difficult to make that work when you can move. So we kind of had to work out. We went through like a bunch of different strategies to making that work, and that was like a whole thing. And then we also had like a huge problem with the wolf as well, because one of the things when I started with when I was doing the wolf is we didn't want it to just look like a man in a wolf suit. So I was very keen on the kind of like four-legged locomotion. But then we started running into all sorts of problems of like, okay, if you're just a wolf, you know, like what kind of attacks can you do? You know, just biting things is not particularly great. Like you need, you know, you want that sort of claw, like slashing thing. You know, that's kind of the fiction you're going for. But I didn't want to give up on that four-leg locomotion either. So we ended up coming with a hybrid for that one, where if you're jumping from far away, you can go from 4 legs, land on 2 legs, and do a slash. And then for a little bit of walking, you do a sort of traditional WASD type movement setup. But then after you've walked a little while, you go back down on all fours again, and then you can actually run more quickly. That was the thing that really made the wolf click. So for each of those different animal forms, it really was kind of a different moment when we sort of worked out how to make them fun. And we honestly went through a hell of a time getting that to the point where it felt really good across all the classes. But we did get there in the end. So yeah, that was, I guess it probably was only like a couple of months ago when we really managed to get things really working to the point where I was really happy with it. The next question is, in terms of performance, what would you say is usually the biggest tipping point and pushes the team to find more solutions? Well, I mean, performance has been something that people have been pretty unhappy about for a while, and this time I basically just said, look, I'm going to take care of this one. So I sort of personally started firing up the profiler and finding things and then just pushing things forward. So yeah, we found a lot of things in a relatively short period of time. I'm really happy with the improvements we did. In the video we said 25% increase, but honestly I think that the reality is quite a lot better than that. The reason we wanted to hedge our bets there is that you're always going to have people who say, oh, you know, like it's not actually that much faster and that kind of stuff. I think it's better just to under promise and over deliver there. So for example, even today, I found something else that can improve the performance of the game by, you know, 20-ish%. Like, yeah, we've got some really big improvements. I think the honest actual answer is it's probably more like double frame rate for CPU-bound cases. But yeah, like we'll commit to a 25% uplift in all cases because, that's been a problem we've seen. So yeah, like I just really wanted to make sure that we're improving in this league. Now there's a lot more we can do here, you know, like I've got a lot more ideas for things. I've identified some other things that we can improve, and there's obviously some balance things as well with like certain builds that can be a bit of a problem. But in general, I would say that we're getting you know, a much better control over performance stuff. And certainly what I want to make sure is that by the time early access is over, that not a single person is complaining about performance. So that's kind of the commitment that I want to have. And so yeah, like it's just become a something that we really need to make sure is really good. The next question was, what did you find was causing the performance issues? Great to see improvements. So I would say probably the it's not going to be one thing alone, but probably the biggest thing that made a difference, like I guess, was making sure that we can take advantage of multiple cores more effectively. Effectively, even though you might have like, you know, like 12, 16 CPU cores or something like that, we were basically not really using most of them most of the time during the course of the frame. And so a lot of the work that I did was basically just making sure that you know, we're removing dependencies so things can run at the same time more efficiently, and just utilizing more of the hardware that you have effectively. There was obviously some just traditional optimization as well, just looking at things that are slow and like finding a way to do it faster, but a lot of it was that multi-threaded optimization type stuff. And the next question is, what inspired you to add Wyvern to Druid, and what inspirations do you use for this design / abilities? You know, I'm not even sure who exactly was the first person to propose it, but effectively we were like, okay, we want to go something a little bit more out there with the third form. We want something that's not something that you would expect. And we also wanted something that had some kind of range ability, because we had the kind of like slow, you know, attack with the bear. We had the kind of fast and furious with the wolf. We wanted something that was going to be ranged, and someone said, why not a dragon? You know, we ended up going with Wyvern, but you know, that was kind of the thing. We're like, well, yeah, why not a dragon, right? Like, we should probably do something like that because it would just be awesome. And then the tough part was like, okay, like if you're a dragon, you need to be able to utilize the wings effectively and that kind of stuff. And it just, it was a tough one, but we sort of was like, okay, if we want to be able to have some kind of range, like what kind of animal can you be that can be ranged? And so Wyvern ended up being what we went with. Next question is, without spoilers of course, are there other druid forms to be earned through uniques and other methods / means like the demon for the bear? So we don't have any others in the game right now, but there are others that we were making and might come later. So yeah, there are some other uniques we did have in production, but that's something that we can definitely do more of, and I'm quite keen to do some of that as well. The next question is, can we get a skin for the druid that is basically a man in a wolf suit? I'm not sure about that, I'm kind of against it. But also the rig now effectively is designed with these sort of long, like sort of strange pose, so yeah, a little bit more difficult I suspect to do that. So yeah. So that's the end of the questions that I've seen in Discord, so if you guys have any other questions that you wanted to ask, then feel free to throw them in the Discord. Otherwise, you know, I guess we're good. So, okay. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the presentation and hopefully I answered some of your questions. And, you know, if that's all we have, then, all right, then I guess we'll call it a day. So thank you very much. And, yeah, I'll see you again. You know, hopefully I'll see you in game, but if I don't see you there, then hopefully I'll see you again next time we do a presentation.
Well, as always, it was an absolute pleasure to make this for y'all watching. Thank you for watching or reacting to the video. I always appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to know when my content goes live. Thank you so very much. Thank you so much to the members, all the patrons, all the YouTube members, Chris, Freddy, Phil Rodney, and Aries EMS. I appreciate you for supporting at the top level. I am going to get out of here, but I'll see you for the next one. But before I go, be sure to check out my previous interview with Grinding Gear Games if you have not yet, because it was a good one. Bye for now, everybody.
Your mom was a good one. In bed.
So this video is kind of crazy, and it's a sign of the times. Here we have a Fox News reporter who goes on Fox News, and he actually issues a dire warning to the Fox host about how, you know, this socialism thing is a lot more appealing than you think, and this socialism thing can help Democrats win, and you do yourself no favors by pretending that's not the case. So this is like a big warning to MAGA. Watch this.
Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of New York. He's obviously a democratic socialist. And a lot of Republicans have kind of said, oh, watch and see what happens to New York. That's going to be the death of socialism. You don't necessarily think that's the case.
No, I don't. And thanks for having me, John. Also, you know, the conventional wisdom regarding Mamdani was that his victory was going to be a boon for Republicans in the midterms because they could just point at socialism and say, you know, there's the boogeyman. I don't think that...
Yeah, until Trump bent the knee to Zoran and said, he's actually very rational. I actually like this guy a lot.
That's a good point.
Undercutting the whole Republican argument. But, I mean, his point stands and is correct that Republicans might think Zoran is like the easier Democrat to beat. They're wrong. He's actually the way harder Democrat to beat. The Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, centrist Democrat mentality is the one that's easy to beat because it's toothless. It stands for nothing. Zoran and democratic socialism, that actually stands for something. It means something. It actually is for improving people's lives, and that's way harder to beat than they think. They still live in, like, the 1970s where, like, oh, socialism is a naughty word, so if I just say the word socialism, then I'm just going to win by default. Like, got some bad news for you, son. That's not how it works anymore.
In the midterms, because they could just point at socialism and say, you know, there's the boogeyman. I don't think that this is going to work. I think there is a real misreading of the ground in Middle America, the heartland, call it whatever you want. I spend most of my time there talking to voters, and they're not terrified of socialism, and they're not the conservative, what we used to call blue dog Democrat types that you expect to find there. One quick example, two 30-somethings that I met in Dallas, these guys were Democrats but not hardcore. Socialism came up. I asked a question that we hear a lot on this channel, where has it ever worked? Without missing a beat, the first guy said Norway, second guy chimes in and says Sweden and Finland. Now, look, we can debate that, and we kind of did.
Okay, but before this continues, 100% they watch Secular Talk, right? Because that's been my answer on that for fucking ever. I feel like that's, I mean, to be fair, of course you don't have to listen to me say it in order to deduce that yourselves, but I do feel like I've said that so many times, more than probably anybody, so maybe they actually watch this show. Maybe I'm patting myself on the back a little too hard. I'm sucking myself off a little too hard, but I mean that's the correct answer, right? Like that's the correct answer.
Question that we hear a lot on this channel: where has it ever worked? Without missing a beat, the first guy said Norway, Second guy chimes in and says Sweden and Finland. Now, look, we can debate that, and we kind of did, those models, but the takeaway here is that when I said socialism, their mental image was not breadlines in Cuba or the former Soviet Union. It was free healthcare and generous vacation packages in Scandinavia. So I think Republicans have to understand the ground is a little different than they think it is right now.
Oh, it's not a little different, son. It's a lot different. When you look at the polls now, socialism is no longer the boogie word that it was, the boogeyman word that it was. It's just not. You know, like the Democratic voters have a majority favorability towards socialism. Young voters, majority favorability towards socialism. You know, Zoran's out there saying, yes, I'm a democratic socialist. I'm proud of it. Bernie, same fucking thing. Bernie's been the most liked senator in the country for fucking decades now. So, like, I believe it's over. Like, that debate is now over. You're never going to be able to just say communist or socialist again and have that work. It's just not going to happen. And the answer that those guys gave, there's logic to it, right? Because, yes, those countries are not like pure socialist countries. Everybody knows that. But on the spectrum of politics and economics, they're much further to the left. Yes, they have elements of capitalism. Yes, they have elements of socialism. We have a lot more capitalism and a lot less socialism here in this country. But yes, those countries that have more socialism and less capitalism, they self-report being way fucking happier. They have higher quality of life. They have better health outcomes. They have more vacation time. They have higher wages. You go down the line of, you know, the metrics that you would grade a civilized society on, and they're kicking our ass in virtually every one. And so, yes, guess what? Eventually people figured out, hold on, why do we not have paid vacation time by law, but every other developed country does? I don't get that. I don't get that. People caught on to it. They were like, oh, well, that's bullshit. We should have that, right? I mean, that's just one example, but like paid sick leave, paid vacation time by law, higher wages, where a lot of the Scandinavian countries, they have, like, everybody's in a union, so you don't even need a minimum wage because the lowest wage is still higher than what a minimum wage would be. Like, people finally learned, oh shit, here are the ways in which this country's fucked. Why is it we have such low taxes on the wealthy and, like, you know, the working class picks up the slack? No, it should be the opposite. You should have a progressive tax system where the wealthy pay more and the working class pays less and gets better services. People caught on. They caught on. It's the era of the internet. People finally decided, let me look some shit up. And they realized, oh, okay, so we're getting fucked. And this is a corporate hellhole. It's a corporatocracy. The billionaires have all the fucking control. Money in politics has really corrupted the system. You could not pull the wool over people's eyes forever, right? Like, eventually people are going to look and realize, oh shit, we're ranked 11th out of 11 when it comes to modern countries for their healthcare system. Well, that sucks. Like, eventually people are going to find out. They were going to find out. And they were going to realize single-payer Medicare for all is the way to go. We should have free college. We should have a living wage, right? We should end the corruption. It was going to happen. It was bound to happen eventually. And now I think we're really, really at that point, mostly because you had the centrist Democrats who generally trusted the Democratic politician and establishment to deliver for us. They now have woken up and realized, oh, hold on, Chuck Schumer is Diet MAGA. Hakeem Jeffries is Diet MAGA. These people are cucks. They're doormats to the right. They basically fold for Trump no matter what. So they're in the way of progress. And they finally realized, oh, hold on, it's the Bernie Sanders, it's the AOC, it's the Zoran Mamdanis, you know, it's Katabu Ghazaleh, it's Abdul El Sayed, it's these people who are running out. Like, this is the mindset we want. The Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, these people, this is what we need, this is what we want. We need a left-wing politics that actually represents left-wing ideals. Could you imagine a Democrat supporting democratic policies? I know, crazy, wild, hard to wrap your mind around, but that's where we're at now. And so it's over for these motherfuckers as soon as we get to the point where these left-wing candidates run on that bold economic vision and hammer home that, no, we are the people we're going to make life more affordable for you. We're going to take the necessities off the table. That's going to be paid for with tax dollars through the taxes we raise on the wealthy. Because then what's the response? They have no response. Right-wing politics by its very nature is subservient to billionaires, is subservient to capital, is, just a mishmash of corruption. That's what right-wing politics is. It's like cultural resentment, authoritarianism, fascism, bigotry and xenophobia mixed with cucking to billionaires and hyper-capitalism. Well, that's a hellscape for everybody. Nobody wants to live in a system like that. So people have woken up. They've woken up, and I think we're experiencing our moment. The left-wing Tea Party, I believe, is here. Now, Afton Bain, she did not win her race the other day, but you got to remember it was a Trump plus 22 district, and she ended up cutting it all the way to Republican plus 8. So double-digit pickup, bro. If you replicate that all across the country in the midterms, which is what we're looking to do, that's Democrats with a fucking 40, 50 seat majority or whatever it is. And so that's what's going to happen. If we keep that mindset, keep our eyes on the prize, call out all of the MAGA bullshit, while also repping a real fucking economic agenda to deliver real change for people, that's how you get the wins. And now we're at the point where even Fox News has to admit that. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.
Welcome to the Daily Show. I am George Klepper. We got so much to talk about tonight. Jeffrey Epstein's island was as creepy as he was. We'll show you this year's must-have Christmas tree decoration. And Pete Hegseth's got nothing to hide, but no, you can't look at his phone. So, let's kick things off with another installment of the very normal and not shady handling of the Epstein Files.
It's pretty boring stuff.
We are just 2 weeks away from the deadline for the DOJ to release the Epstein Files. And Pam Bondi, if you're listening, it's still not too late to release them Advent calendar style, you know? Let's see December 4th. Okay, what's in it today? Ooh, Bill Clinton, huh? In the meantime, House Democrats continue to release their own Epstein documents. So, what's in this latest drop? Is it emails? Maybe bank records?
We're seeing new images of the notorious Caribbean estate dubbed Epstein Island. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee releasing more than 150 photos and videos of the sprawling mansion, videos of the pool area, bedrooms, and bathrooms. There were also framed photos of the financier and his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, like this one with the late Pope John Paul II.
Wow. Wow, I can't believe it. The face of the world's most notorious pedophile ring got to meet Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. Amazing. That's the most game-recognized game photo I've ever seen. Fun fact, you know who took that photo? Bill Cosby. This release doesn't contain any major bombshells, but we did learn one new thing. Epstein Island looked like shit. I mean, how does a billionaire's private island 2-star Airbnb? I'm not even talking about the...
Did not study comets. He studied like black holes and shit. But all the commentary experts, like the day July 1st, it was discovered. On July 2nd, there were already papers going like, "Yep, it's a comet." Right? See, it has a coma of CO2, and it's we can measure everything, and everyone knew it was a comet from day one. There was no discussion about it, and he's all like, "But blah blah blah, all these anomalies." Nope, no anomalies. Everything totally normal.
So one of the things that I find interesting here is when you debunk these guys, one of your successful ways of doing it is to really wrap up what's the playbook of these people. Yeah. And I thought you did a great job with the Avi Loeb playbook.
The Avi Loeb playbook. 1. He writes a paper outside of his expertise, ignoring existing work in the field and avoiding experts like the plague. 2. He publicly makes outrageous comments and claims, using Harvard's reputation to create buzz and sell a bunch of books. 3. When experts inevitably chime in to point out how his work is sloppy pseudoscience, he portrays himself as a victim being silenced by the establishment, just like the wise Galileo. Big science is dismissive of his brilliance because they can't handle the truth, obviously. They do the same thing with Terrence Howard's crappy arithmetic, and with Discovery Institute's anti-science propaganda, and with Graham Hancock's Atlantis fantasies. This is the only script a charlatan really needs because it works.
And you started bringing it up. It's to publish in something that is not his field of expertise. What is his actual field of expertise then?
as an astrophysicist, he was publishing a lot on black holes and stuff like that. But here, I want to be clear: it's okay if he decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to study comets now. But that's not what he did. He just said, I'm going to lie about comets to make money. He doesn't consult with experts in that subfield, dynamicists who study the trajectories of comets and things like that, who all have analyzed this with, in great detail and understand how comets behave. And the other thing is that he doesn't publish on them. He doesn't actually publish peer-reviewed papers. He can't, because it's all full of lies. So he writes up a preprint, doesn't submit it for peer review, sends that preprint to the media, and it looks like a paper. It looks like, ooh, here's this fancy scientific knowledge. That did not get vetted. It did not get run through the peer review system, where somebody who actually studies comets would go, wow, this is a bunch of garbage. Do not publish this in any reputable journal. This is useless. But lay people don't know that. The media don't know that. They're like, it's a guy from Harvard, so he must be right. And I think at this point, the media has caught wind to this. They're like, this is probably bullshit, but who cares? Whenever we fucking interview this guy, everybody watches and we get money. And he's from Harvard, so that's our excuse. Harvard guy, if he's wrong, that's not our fault, right? He's from Harvard, so we should interview him endlessly on every platform. And it's just a shame, because there's no room for actual science reporting on this object, which is tremendously fascinating. It's only the third exocomet we've ever seen. There's all of these cool conversations we could be having, all of this cool news that could be going on about it, but it can't, because it's saturated with Avi Loeb says it's aliens. That's the only fucking thing that you can find on this object anywhere on the news, on the internet, anywhere. I mean, except for factual information that's buried by all the noise. It just sucks,
Yeah, it's the same thing with the archaeology pseudo stuff, because, whenever we bring up Göbekli Tepe, even the media has to bring up the narratives of the pseudo stuff, and that it pushes out everything. And it's like the world, how could hunter-gatherers do this? And the world's first civilization. And it's like, man, that's not what's cool about Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
And they just don't care, because that's what ends up getting clicks. And
I can't tell you how many comments I get. They're just like, you think archaeologists know everything, but what about Göbekli Tepe? I'm like, well, what about it? Finish the fucking thought, dude. Like, well, you don't know what that is. You have no idea what it is. You heard Jimmy Corsetti say it, or Graham, or anybody, and then they lied about it. Then you were just like, oh, wow, okay, archaeologists are dumb. Okay, all right. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, I just did an interview with Lee Clare, which I should be publishing soon, and it's just like, even the new picture that they have from all the new research, like, even archaeologists don't know what's going on with it. It's like, we're like picturing the site completely wrong. And so it's just like, we have to pay attention to the experts that are doing the actual hard work, because they're the ones that have the hands-on sort of information on this stuff.
Yeah, and if interpretations about some phenomenon change, that's the natural course of science, right? Researchers, like you, layperson, you do not have more privileged knowledge over the people who are researching this. They are the ones gathering the information and interpreting it. And if due to new data, their interpretation changes, then that's the new consensus, and you react to that. You are not, you armchair scientist, you're not going to come up with something that the scientists aren't going to come up with, right? They have the data and the expertise to analyze this stuff, not you. As much.
I know. I love how they love to say, "Oh, it's the alternative stuff that moves science forward," and it's like, what are you fucking talking about? It's the scientists that have always moved stuff forward, and it's like, and then they bring up Galileo, and it's like, Galileo was a scientist. You realize?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he was a scientist, and his persecution was at the hands of the Catholic Church, not his scientist colleagues. Like, everybody who brings up Galileo in this context, I'm like, you're the dumbest person alive. And then Avi Loeb has the balls to compare himself to Galileo, and he has this Galileo project, and he's like, look, I'm being persecuted by the establishment, which is academia. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? It's ridiculous.
So to finish up that playbook, which is, I think, a playbook for pretty much every pseudoscience grifter. Obviously, you're doing something that's a bit out of your expertise, or entirely out of your expertise. You're an electrician spouting shit about archaeology, for example.
Hey, Dan, if only I could be an uneducated electrician like you. Then I would understand science so super good. What a loser.
So that's number one. Number two is you appeal to the public rather than to people that actually know their information, because the public cannot fact check you. And so they just don't have the hands-on knowledge base to be able to fact check you.
Eric made several highly specific claims about what's in geometric unity, and Christian is going to go through those claims to show with complete clarity that Eric is a liar, and GU is nothing but smoke and mirrors for tricking the science-illiterate public into thinking that he's a genius.
And then number 3, to claim you're being persecuted. And I mean, I find that fascinating that playbook is the same in sort of every field of pseudoscience, isn't it?
Yeah, because it works. It works in medicine, it works in archaeology, it works in astronomy and physics. Eric Weinstein does it, Sabina Hassenfelder, Graham Hancock and all of those people. Definitely everybody, Pierre Corey and all the ivermectin and all this stuff. It's always the same. I'm being canceled. I'm being... demonized by the establishment. I'm a whistleblower. Works every goddamn time. And it's Joe Rogan's favorite story. That's why he endlessly platforms anyone who tells him a story like this. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, the way I put it is being canceled actually gives you more of a platform. It's like, I would love to be canceled. Just go out and cancel me, please. Then I'll have a
and you can go on Joe Rogan a bunch of times.
Except he's the one canceling me.
They say that I'm misleading the public. I think the public are intelligent enough to make up their own minds.
Well, I would invite those people to come on here and talk with you.
Yes, I would
think
love
that would be fascinating.
I would love to do that.
Fascinating to see their argument about the Younger Dryas impact theory, about all of this, because it seems so compelling and so overwhelmingly evidence-based.
Absolutely. It would be a great debate to have. Very few archaeologists are willing to debate.
That's what I was going to say. I think you'd have a hard time getting some of them to come on here. They will make excuses like they won't lower themselves to engaging about such ideas.
Or giving him a platform. That's my favorite one.
That's the one they use a lot. Yeah.
Too late. Awesome. Fantastic information. But before we do anything, I think we should probably address what we know now about the debate that you had with Flint Dibble. Yeah. So that was the last time we were here. I appreciate that he came on, and I thought it was going to be an interesting discussion, but it turned out he played fast and loose with the truth. And
so it's a little weird.
Well, that's a catch-22 for him to deal with in his little pea brain.
Which, to be honest, I've seen it. What's one of the things I'm really proud of is thousands of people have told me, because of how he's treated you, I see him in a completely different light. And it's just like, that I do think that the more we push, the more of an impact we have, and the more voices we have out there, the more we can actually make our voice known.
Yeah, to me, it's like I'm starting to see a very slight change, the beginnings of an acceleration in another direction, purely based on volume, right? It's just that the internet is so oversaturated with disinformation. How can we expect anything but pseudoscience prevailing in the public consciousness, right? So all we have to do is just do that, right? Just saturate the internet with factual information, and I can be sensationalist in a certain way, just with inflammatory speech, right? Just you fraud, idiot, douchebag, asshole, right? That kind of like gets people
talking to me
too. Yeah. I just can kind of like, they use narrative to their advantage, and I can use narrative to my advantage too, because it's also true, right? At this point, we're fighting against authoritarianism, essentially. This is an absolutely outrageous, unprecedented in modern American history, at the doorstep of fascism, profoundly dangerous series of events that we are witnessing unfolding here. The first step is knowing that there's a problem, and if I've gotten you as mad about it as I am, then I've done my job as a science communicator. Right? With what's going on with medical misinformation and the way that the government has been completely captured by pseudoscience peddlers, which is going to be a disaster for public health. It will cause deaths. Right? It already has a handful, at least, definitely. Yeah, whooping cough, and measles and stuff.
To New Mexico, to the west, and Oklahoma to the north, and then Kansas. So it's a 4-state epidemic, roughly 1,000 cases and 100 hospitalizations, and tragically, at least 2 pediatric deaths in school-age kids whose parents made a decision not to vaccinate them, otherwise.
What am I looking for here?
It's a pretty devastating measles epidemic, and it's going on for a long time.
That's going to continue. So it's like there's something to rage against here, right? The way that the people who fall for the pseudoscience grift think that they're raging against the establishment and big pharma, we got to get big pharma, right? All of this stuff. That again, but for real. So you stand a shot at capturing that kind of intensity in people, but just based on factual information. But we need a greater volume of it. You know, we need another 500 people doing what I do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I mean, it's like you bring up big pharma and it's just like, man, like I don't like big pharma. There's obviously lots of individual examples of corruption and stuff, but at the same time, medicine has never been better. Like if I was dealing with my same cancer 15 years ago, I'd already be dead. I would have been given a 6-month window to live 6 months ago. And instead, my cancer is now almost gone. It's still there, and I don't know if it will disappear, but it's like almost gone. And so clearly I have a good chunk of life still left, whether it's 5 years or whether it's a lot longer. I don't know. But, medicine fucking works. The problem is the capitalistic system and the corruption involved. We need to deal with that, but it doesn't mean that medicine needs to be thrown under the bus. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Correct.
Yeah.
Science-based medicine is all that matters, and you can take your alternative remedies and shove them up your ass. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. So, look, one of the things that I see this as, and I agree with you, I'd like to hear more about what you just said about seeing the signs of change, is, like I'm a historian, so I look at cultural change over time, and even just looking at cultural change, say, in the 20th and 21st century, you can see pseudoscience and science sort of existing as a pendulum. There's periods where kind of, anti-science beliefs are extremely popular. You can think about the 70s or like the 30s and 20s, like that kind of stuff was super popular. Or the 1890s when Theosophism was super popular. And so I think we're in one of these periods where the pendulum is very far on the pseudoscience end. But I agree with you. I have full hope we're going to swing back, and I see signs as well. What kind of signs are you seeing?
I mean, I'm just seeing the stirrings of the scientific community, the academic community, and also the pro-science sector of the public that are just done with it. Like, we've just had it. Like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And now that it has infected the government, it's really dangerous. It's really dangerous because it's become a cog in the wheel of this machine that is pushing towards authoritarianism and this technocratic dystopia where it's just like if we slide too far in a particular direction, it's going to be nearly impossible to get back. Because if you have a government that has authoritarian power and has all of these futuristic tools of like AI and deepfakes and all this stuff, and just a complete control over the information ecosystem where it becomes literally impossible to know what's true. Anybody who speaks out and offers the truth can be framed for whatever crime. Any dissident, any subversive individual can be jailed arbitrarily. Like, just we're going in a direction that will be impossible to come back from. That's why we need to be fighting voraciously right now while it's still possible to do so. But I am seeing that attitude. I am seeing a little bit of like, enough is enough. It sucks that it took everybody's budget being slashed to get there, right? I saw it going that way a lot earlier because that's my job. Like, I'm not doing scientific research. I'm watching the public. I'm watching the public fumble everything, right? Get some things right, get most things wrong, and figuring out why they're getting it wrong and trying to assess what to do about it. So I'm constantly watching the public try to talk about science and figure out how to address what they're getting wrong. So I saw it going this way since the pandemic. And unfortunately now it's just taken Trump's budget cuts to get the scientific community to be like, whoops, we are in gigantic, enormous trouble. Like, we won't be able, like, if we don't get the public on board with fact-based information, we cannot do science anymore.
That's the truth. This is a public, a battle for public opinion. If we don't get the public on board to see the validity and the reality of what science and scholarship and education does, we're not of value to them, and they're not going to want it.
I expose charlatans and explain precisely how they are lying. But another approach to solving this problem involves demystifying science for the public. In addition to neutralizing lies, we have to rehabilitate public perception of the scientific community. You see, most people don't know a single scientist. They have no idea what scientists do. This makes them more likely to fall for these anti-science narratives because they have no real-life examples to compare with. But what if scientists could show people exactly who they are, what they do, and why? This was precisely my thinking in starting my Get to Know a Scientist series. Never has it been more important than now to show the public precisely who scientists are and what they do, because the impression they are receiving from the media and from the White House is grossly inaccurate.
And so it's very much a communications issue. It's also why I started speaking up in like 2021 and starting to debunk some of this stuff, because I realized it was so much more widespread belief than I could have imagined. You know, I'm in my little ivory tower bubble, even though I'm at a public university in the UK, but whatever.
Yeah, still academia.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
Twitter,
like, you know, when you step out of that and you realize, well, actually, most people on the internet actually really do think the pyramids aren't tombs. And it's like, are you kidding me? The Egyptians told us they're tombs. Like, we have so much fucking evidence, and it's just sort of jars your worldview. Beating heart of the Great Pyramid of Giza is the key to understanding it. And that is this right here, the sarcophagus. It's very clearly a sarcophagus, a stone vessel the size to fit a human body. But of course, this evidence does not convince everybody.
I've been in Giza 3 times, and there's nothing about the Great Pyramid that resembles anything like a tomb.
There's nothing in the Great Pyramid that resembles a tomb? Are you kidding me? There's a friggin' coffin right there. There's a giant sarcophagus that is really clearly a sarcophagus. So I don't care if you've been to Giza 3 times, 10 times, this is just a lie. I have this idea that part of the acceleration of this pendulum swing back is actually fueled by the AI, because there's just so much fake shit now. And I think more and more people are starting to crave real shit, if that makes sense.
Sure, yeah. Or it's kind of like the epistemological breakdown is sort of forcing enhanced skepticism in people.
Yeah.
Like more people are like, oh, okay, most things are fake. I'm catching on to the fact that so much is fake. Yeah, I think that could have a hand in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something I thought. I mean, obviously AI still carries its own issues because people use it for research, but it hallucinates. And, you know, so it has its issues, but it can be a useful tool. And at the same time, it is then weaponized, though, by these people to create all this fake onslaught of shit.
Just like the internet. Yeah, the internet is likely still a net positive, but can be used as a weapon. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's something that's baffled me in my research. You know, I used to have so much optimism for the internet, and now I'm like, oh, I now have a lot of pessimism as well, you know?
Yeah, no, I've become increasingly pessimistic since the pandemic. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's why, like, in my arc of debunking, the point where I'm at now, I'm kind of like, why would I debunk anything other than these frauds that have infiltrated the government, right? And anybody that Trump, you know, obviously Bobby Kennedy, but also Jay Bhattacharya, all of these people who have infected the government and are now disseminating pseudoscience through official state channels. Like, this is the only target. Like, fuck flat earthers. I mean, pseudoarchaeology and that kind of stuff, like, is still, and definitely all the like fake physics stuff, like, that's very important because it gets such a great sector of the public and polarizes them against science in general. So I do have to do that too. But it's like everyone who's spewing lies in the government, this is target number 1, and I will not stop going after every single one of these guys. I have at least 3 or 4 videos that I'm working on right now that are in that vein, among some others that are slightly different. But this is target number 1. Like, we have to rid the government of this scourge of pseudoscience and medical misinformation and all this stuff. It's really, really bad. It's a really bad situation right now.
No, I agree. I've been working my way through the new book by Michael Mann and Peter Hotez on anti-science. And yeah, it's just, and one of the things that doesn't get me is all these people are so anti-establishmentarianists, but this is the establishment now.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's also part of the pendulum that'll swing it back, as they slowly realize that this is the establishment. If you see what I mean.
it's like the unbelievable hypocrisy of like any time in the past where you cite CDC or FDA or any of this stuff, and they're like, they're shills, they're captured by big pharma, blah, blah, blah. You can't trust anything in the government, et cetera, et cetera. And now that you've got the pseudoscience peddling jerks in all these positions, like Pierre McCullough, Bobby McKennedy, Jay Bhattacharya, there's suddenly, CDC, look, CDC says that Tylenol causes autism or you know, vaccines, You trust the government now? Since when did you fucking start trusting the government, you asshole? Like, be consistent. Like, pick a lane. Like, it's unreal. Like, the demonization of Hotez and Fauci, and then the glorification of Bobby Kennedy instead. It's like a fucking cartoon world. I can't handle it, you know?
It is. But I do agree with you that we need to be tackling more than just that, because I think, at least from my view of pseudo-archaeology, it's a major vector into this world of distrust of experts. It's and with pseudo-archaeology in particular, what really annoys me is the media accepts it completely. So, like, you know, like Graham Hancock's Ancient Apocalypse, it's a documentary. His book is listed on Amazon as an archaeology book, and the bestseller in archaeology. You know, when it's legitimized by all these major platforms, so no shit it's going to be used to radicalize people. You know, because it's right there for them to absorb as entertainment, as well as the values of anti-intellectualism and anti-science. Polls out of Chapman University show that about 50% of Americans believe in Atlantis or a similar lost advanced civilization from the Ice Age. So this is pervasive, and we cannot blame our fellow Americans and citizens and people around the world for believing this, because it is presented as legitimate in mainstream sources. Places like Netflix, IMDb, and Amazon all list Graham Hancock's Ancient Apocalypse or his books as legitimate archaeology, as do newspapers like the Daily Mail here in the UK and the New York Post in the US. So we cannot blame ordinary people who have not taken any university-level classes on archaeology for believing this stuff. And so we have to speak up.
Yeah, and there are so many of those funnels. There are so many of those funnels that lead into the pseudoscience pipeline, where one can then descend as low as they like, right? They can, once you fall for one thing and you start to distrust any kind of expertise, then, well, it's all up for grabs. And you can go all the way down to flat Earth at the bottom if you want, or if you're not quite that dumb, you can get off at, you know, I don't know, moon landing denial or wherever you want to land. But they're all funnels into one pipeline that all serve kind of the same purpose.
Yeah, they really are, and their communities very much overlap. Do you see, like, you've now tangled with all the pseudo-archaeology polls and whatnot, is there a difference in character or quality between one community and another? Like, are pseudo-archaeology trolls essentially the same as flat earthers and anti-vaxxers, or is there shades of different?
Flat earthers are a unique brand of stupid. They're the dumbest people in the entire world, and they're not the same as the other ones because there are so many pseudo-archaeology. That's actually one thing that's really funny, is that there are so many people that are anti-vaxxers or pseudo-archaeology idiots and all of these things that find one of my flat earth debunks and go, ha 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 ha, Dave is awesome, he's debunking this garbage flat earth thing. And then they find one of my things debunking what they fell for, and they're like, I was wrong about you, you should stick to debunking flat earth, you stupid jerk. It's the funniest thing. So flat earth is unique. Pseudo-archaeology and like the Avi Loeb bros are a Venn diagram that's very close to a circle. Anti-vax is a different, yet again, unto itself, because the nature of that disinformation is more subtle and more esoteric. I find more intelligent people falling for anti-vax and like that whole sphere of stuff, because there is very intelligently designed propaganda that resembles legitimate scientific research. So it's very easy, without any expertise, to go, all right, I see these papers that are saying this, I see these papers that are saying this, this person is telling me about the conflict of interest of pharma, and et cetera, and et cetera. So it's like, it's a very difficult terrain to navigate. I have a fair amount of sympathy for people who fall for not, you know, oh, the vaccines are from Bill Gates that are trying to kill everybody, but just like a modest amplification of like adverse reactions to COVID vaccines or things like that. It looks plausible if you don't understand the background of the figures who put that information out there, who is promoting it, what their motives are, etc. So that's a different thing. But yeah.
The thing about statistics, they can be misleading. Here's a graph proving that ice cream sales cause shark attacks. Here's one proving that pool drownings are caused by Nicolas Cage films. Here's one proving that death by bed sheets is caused by ski resort profits. Do we need to continue? The point is that illustrating correlation does not ever demonstrate causation. You have to do rigorously empirical mechanistic studies. Every time we've done that, every single time, all the data and all of the meta-analyses show no link whatsoever between vaccines and autism. A 2002 study traced 537,000 kids and found no difference in autism rates between those who got the MMR vaccine and those who didn't. A 2003 cohort study of 467,450 children saw no relationship between thimerosal-containing vaccines and risk of developing autism. A 2019 nationwide study of 657,461 children found no increased risk of autism among children who were vaccinated, including among those with risk factors like a diagnosed sibling.
Yeah, I'd actually argue, so we talked about playbooks of pseudoscientists. I'd actually argue a big one that I've observed is pseudoscientists trashing a different pseudoscience belief to appear plausible.
Yes.
And so, like, it's a common thing. I see Jimmy Corsetti trashing flat earthers. I see, Graham Hancock trashing ancient aliens, all because they want their ideas to appear more plausible by saying it's not as silly as this other stuff.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Even though Graham came from the ancient aliens.
Exactly.
But yeah, flat Earth is like even young Earth creationists make fun of flat Earthers. It's the easiest thing to make fun of. It's the bottom of the barrel. But yeah.
But I do agree with you. Therefore, like all this effort to make things appear plausible, I certainly never really blame anybody that's caught up in this stuff. It's the purveyors of this misinformation and disinformation that are at fault here. They're the grifters. The people who believe they've just not been exposed to the right information.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I blame them only for their varying degrees of toxicity in defending the crap that they fell for. Yeah. So if you come to my video and are like, "You stupid shill, blah blah blah," like, well, you didn't watch the video. Go fuck yourself. Like, I will. Like, I'm just sort of like I've gone so past my limit in terms of like placating morons that like if you come to my channel, I don't go around to other channels and pick fights, but if you come to my channel and don't watch my video and talk a bunch of shit, I will fucking lace into you because I'm done with this shit. I don't care. Trolls just like if you're like my favorite is like people coming at me with troll energy and then I mirror it back to them and then they whine about how mean I am. It's like can't take it. Don't dish it out. Go fuck yourself. Like this is not the place for you to come and leave nasty comments thinking that there will be no repercussions. You will have done to you what you are trying to do to me, and much better because I'm smarter than you and I'm also right. So yeah.
Who's the bitch?
Yeah. No, it's like I just wanted, just smack some sense into these people.
So why engage and not just block? What's your philosophy on that?
Oh, well, the main reason would be that extended comment threads boost the content in the algorithm. Okay. So it is a little bit of a chore, but it's like every time I get in a back and forth with somebody and it goes 30, 40 posts down, and then there's like 100 of those within the first day of a video, I very noticeably see an uptick. Right on the first day you release a video, it kind of goes like this. It starts to plateau. But then on the second day, you might see a little whoop, like just it'll correct itself. It'll kind of have a new trajectory. That's because the algorithm picked up on how much engagement there is in the video and is suggesting it more. So I definitely, that's the main reason I do it. But also the second reason I do it.
Teach me more, Jedi Master.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like it's like 10 times more or anything, but it's just, it shows it to more people. You get more views.
Yeah.
And the second reason I do it is because when trolls are there, some of them are just idiots, but there's also when you're taking down Avi Loeb, when you're taking down anything that's propped up by any of the shills that Peter Thiel pays, stuff like that. They are definitely investing in bot campaigns and like all this stuff. Like some of it is disingenuous disingenuous fake profiles there to try and change the narrative, right? They want to shift the optics. They want to make it seem like, educated people are pushing back on this content, so maybe there's more to see here. Maybe it's not so open and shut. But when I engage with trolls like that, what you get is an extended comment thread where it's just, you don't blah, 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 blah. Where am I wrong in this video? Blah, 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 blah. Where am I wrong in this video? Anyone reading this thread can see very clearly that this person, if they even exist, did not watch the video, has nothing to say about it, is completely incapable of refuting anything in the video, going so far as saying, like, you didn't even talk about any stuff. Motherfucker, it's an hour of me referencing primary scientific literature. What are you talking about? And so anyone can see that, and the intended optical shift of that troll will be completely reversed. It will only discredit the people who are trying to discredit me. So it's an optical shift even further in my favor when I get trolls to throw tantrums, extended tantrums like that. It's great. So I exploit trolls. To anyone who has a thick enough skin and a few extra minutes per day, exploit trolls. It's great.
I sure hope some of the people that critique your tone see this, because it is clearly a method to your madness here.
Yeah.
Like, they might not have to agree, but like one of the things, I had a friendly debate with David Miano, who runs the World of Antiquity channel, and he takes a much more calm demeanor, let's say, and where he will placate people and let them run with their stuff, and he's the opposite of your approach, right?
One thing I suffer from, that Professor Dave probably does not suffer from, is that by trying to be more polite, people say I'm condescending.
I bet you he gets called condescending all the time.
You think he gets called condescending?
I think we all do.
I don't know if you come out strong like that. Maybe it's just like, what that? I don't know, but I get...
And so we were talking about this, and I'm like, I actually think that both approaches work. I tend to think that different people respond to different tones. And so, I think we just need all of us out there with our different voices and our different tones trying to promote real science and real education.
Yeah.
But it does show you're not just some inflammatory troll yourself back. You actually have a method to your madness that thinks this through and the impact it has.
There's a method to exploiting that kind of rhetoric, but also they deserve it, and I'm just serving them what they deserve. But it's like, everyone can find their own tone. I think that the key to effective science communication is authenticity, and I am authentically like this. I do not take this kind of shit. I don't take shit from trolls. I don't care. This is how I'm confrontational. I'm a confrontational person. If you're not, then your authentic way of speaking is a more non-confrontational way. But authenticity and integrity, this is the currency that science communicators deal with, right? Yeah. People can sniff it out if you're being disingenuous.
Yeah, which is why scientists and scholars, when they sort of get their tongue twisted when trying to explain something in too nuanced of a way, same with government officials during COVID and stuff like that, it comes off as disingenuous, even though they're just trying to be honest.
They just don't have practice communicating.
Yeah. Well, they do in the classroom, but they're more comfortable in the classroom. It's why I always tell my colleagues we should be focusing on getting introductory classroom level materials out, not your cutting edge research. You know, like your cutting edge research is complex and nuanced and embedded in a scholarly discourse. You're used to teaching. Like, teach the public, man.
Yeah, I definitely hope that, I'm definitely not going to go on some kind of tirade about how we need to restructure the entire educational system, blah, blah, blah. Nothing like that. What we're doing with education is fine, but I do think that every science major as an undergrad, there should be a small component, a SciComm 101, just like one course, just like learning the basics and getting some practice at communicating scientific topics to the layperson. It just should be in there. So.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. All right, I got a couple more questions for you if you got the time.
Yeah.
So one of them is, what else can we do? We just encourage more people to speak up? What other solutions you got?
That's all I got right now, and I think that that's all we need right now because there are nowhere near enough people doing it. If we get 10 times more people doing it and we're still not getting anywhere, then we need to brainstorm some other avenues. But right now, it's really just a numbers game, right? We're just outnumbered by at least an order of magnitude or several orders of magnitude, and we just need to bring the numbers up. Then once we do that, let's go from there. You know what I mean?
Colleagues, listen to this guy. I've been saying this too. It's about creating an ecosystem where we can boost each other and support each other. And in that sense, I'm grateful for you because you got what, 4 million subscribers, and you boost me, you boost other scholars and other science communicators, and it's like that's what we all need to be doing is building out this ecosystem and changing the algorithms in a sense to change even the very terms they use, which I guess leads me to my second question. You produce educational content, like just straight up educational content, but that does not get nearly as many views as your debunking content, at least these days. And so what are your thoughts on the advantages and disadvantages of using debunking as a tool to share educational material?
Oh, it's great. I mean, people definitely leave comments all the time that are like, wow, like I came here to see you dunk on a fraud, but I just learned a shit ton about comets or origin of life research or, you know, whatever, just anything. Because the thing is, with every debunk that I do, whether if it's 90 minutes long, I'm taking the first 15 minutes to teach a bunch of information because you need it in order to go, oh, now I can very clearly see how this is fallacious narrative because it contradicts this basic stuff that we know about comets or whatever. You know, talking about comets because I just debunked Avi Loeb, but it holds in every topic. And then the other thing I do is when I do that, I go, okay, that's all we need for this debunk. But if you want to learn more about astronomy or molecular biology or archaeology or whatever it is, I have a whole series of introductory tutorials without any context to debunking. Just this is the basics that you learn freshman year in college. If you want that information given to you nice and succinctly with